like $100, and it runs beautifully at 305,000 miles.
Quite impressive.
But when you start it, you have to start it 3 times to get the automatic choke to kick in properly.
So what, Glenn? It was $100.
Get under the hood, Saturdays at noon on AM 1030, FM 103.3, and KMAS.com. Dave Ramsey helps you handle your money on KMAS Shelton, weekdays from noon to 3, AM 1030, FM 103.3, and online at KMAS.com.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. It could be an ugly day on Wall Street. Fears that China's economy is weakening is sending shockwaves across stock markets worldwide. U.S. stock futures turned bleak after trading was halted there. More from ABC's Bob Woodruff in Beijing.
After less than just 14 minutes of trading on China's stock market, it was halted, plunging more than 7%. It's the second time this week that the Chinese government suspended such trading, triggered by their new circuit breaker system. Other Asian markets were spooked. Hong Kong dropped 3%, Sydney 2.1%. The Shanghai stock market will try to trade again tonight. New York Times. Bob Woodruff, ABC News, Beijing.
Your dream of being filthy rich is still alive. Nobody hit the winning numbers in the Powerball lottery, so the $500 million jackpot grows to at least $675 million for the Saturday drawing. The wannabe wealthy are making a whole new list of plans.
I'm going to pay off my new Jeep and take a trip and maybe give some donations to the homeless vets and homeless animals.
Rescue crews have now pulled all 17 miners out of an underground elevator shaft in an upstate New York salt mine. It was a slow process since only a few could be taken out at a time, but Cargill spokesman Mark Klein says they were in no danger.
We've been in constant contact with the guys, sending down water.
They are all okay. The government is revising its dietary guidelines for your daily nutrition. ABC's Dan Child tells us they include new limits on sugar.
This added sugar limit doesn't actually apply to naturally occurring sugars, such as those in fruit and milk. This is really applying to the corn sweeteners, corn syrup, the fructose and glucose.
It was a Kanye West moment at the People's Choice Awards when a stagecrasher grabbed the mic away from the ladies of The Talk, interrupting their acceptance speech. The ladies got the last laugh by kicking him off the stage. This is ABC News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. Call Quicken Loans now to see if you qualify for the government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. And for 6 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction. And for the second year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN or visit QuickenLoans.com.
Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
Welcome to the 474 at Fridays. Welcome to $4 appetizers, to sharing with the table. Welcome to $7 entrees, to not ordering the usual. Trying something new. Welcome to $4 desserts, to actually having room for dessert. Welcome to lower prices and portions that are just right. Welcome to the 474. Absent dessert starting at $4, entree starting at $7. The 474, the new menu, only at TGI Fridays. At participating restaurants, prices applied at just right portions only.
Donald Trump was a hot topic on a panel for new TV shows. ABC's Jason Nathanson attended the preview.
It started on a panel for the documentary He Named Me Malala, which will air on the Nat Geo channel. The father of Malala Yousafzai, Zia Yousafzai, was asked about Trump's comments about barring Muslims from the U.S.
I don't believe how he finds so many followers.
He also said Trump spreads hate. And on the next panel at the Television Critics Association Winter Press Tour,
He's a moron.
Neil Shea is doing a documentary on ISIS for Nat Geo.
Almost cowardly, some of the things that he said, particularly about Muslims, because if you think about it, who's doing the fighting against ISIS right now? It's Muslims.
As for Hillary Clinton, the only time she was mentioned was when it was announced that she'd be a guest on the Lifetime talk show, The Conversation. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
Trump's wife Melania says she supports his decision to run for president, telling Harper's Bazaar she has a mind of her own and she offers him her opinions. Sometimes he takes them, other times he does not. Do I always agree with him all the time, she asked, then replied, no. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
You're listening to KMAS News Radio. I'm Marilyn Foster. There's a new chairman for the Mason County Commissioners. During this week's commission meeting on Tuesday, Commissioner Randy Netherland turned over the gavel to new chairman Terry Jeffries. Netherland and Commissioner Tim Sheldon voted to give Jeffries the position for 2016. The city of Shelton is one step closer to becoming a Tree City USA, as the Shelton City Commissioners unanimously approved a tree preservation ordinance Monday night. The Arbor Day Foundation sponsors the Tree City USA program. They say the benefits to becoming a Tree City USA include reducing costs for energy, stormwater management, and erosion control, boosting property values across the community by 7 to 20%, and creating a framework for a healthy, sustainable urban forestry program in the city. Now that the ordinance is passed, there are a few more things the city must do. City Community and Economic Development Director Steve Goins says they need to establish a department or board with the responsibility of care to all trees on city property. Document that at least $2 per capita goes toward planting, care, and removal of city trees and planning efforts to observe Arbor Day. Shelton applied to become a Tree City USA in late 2015. During Transit Talk on Daybreak this week, Mason Transit Director Brad Patterson talked about MTA being named the 2015 Rural Transportation System of the Year.
CTAA, Community Transportation Association of America, is all the rural and small agencies. They've got over 4,000 members around the country. And so, every year they select the best rural transit system in the country. And so for 2015, we were selected. Patterson shared the criteria used by CTAA to determine the recipient of the high honor. A combination of things. You got the cake and you got the topping on the cake, right? The topping on the cake was the Transit Community Center. It's first of its kind in the country. Right, and it's really nice. Yeah. It's not been done anywhere. You see transit centers that have businesses in with them, retail businesses or whatever, that help pay the cost of the transit center. You don't see it with a community center. How many transit centers, tell me, raise your hands, how many transit centers have you seen around the country that have a gym? Yeah. Have a commercial kitchen and those kinds of things. The rest of it is the history of the agency and all the programs, the innovation that's been done, the level of service. Being fare free or prepaid, however you want to describe it, is certainly not very common at all. Good safety record, to be a countywide system, all the regional connections. So just a combination of all those things. Learn more about the benefits of mass transit and how MTA serves the community weekly during Transit Talk on Daybreak. You can hear this week's full interview on the Daybreak page at KMAS.com. I'm Mary Lynn Foster, your local news at AM 1030 and FM 103.3, and always on KMAS.com.
Tune in all season long to NFL Preview right here on Westwood One. Hi, this is Boomer Esiason. Join me and Scott Graham each week as we preview the entire NFL schedule. We'll break down each matchup and tell you what to watch out for so you can be ready for all the NFL action. If you want the most comprehensive look inside the National Football League, then you need to tune into NFL Preview right here.
7:30 Sunday morning on AM 1030, FM 103.3, KMAS News Radio.
Hi, this is Alex Jones on KMAS News Radio. And I'm basically here exposing this. I told you about militarization of police 20 years ago. I told you about the plan for gun confiscation. I told you about the PDDs. Now we're far down the rat hole, and they're now want to do 10-state giant drills with plain clothes, doing, quote, suspicious things, and practicing taking over local government, practicing taking out civilians, and snatch and grabs. And of course it has dual applications for overseas. But the main mission is a PSYOP.
Junior and Piazza are Hall-bound. Spurs and Cavs are winners. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. Cap on backwards, disarming smile, and one of the quickest bats in the game. Ken Griffey Jr. is heading to the Baseball Hall of Fame on July 24th.
I knew I could play baseball. It was just the adjustment of getting to know people and growing.
Junior hit 630 home runs and was one of the best center fielders of all time. And he goes in record fashion with 99.3% of the vote. ESPN's baseball analyst Tim Kirkjian.
It should have been unanimous because he's certainly one of the greatest players that most of us have ever seen.
Mike Piazza, a 12-time All-Star with 427 home runs and a record 396 as a catcher going into the Hall.
Been so honored to have met many Hall of Famers, obviously been instructed by many throughout my career, and they express how special it is.
Jeff Bagwell fell 15 votes shy. Tim Raines missed by 23. NBA, San Antonio remains undefeated at home.
Pass comes out to DL. Right wing Ginobili will fire a three, and that's a mano tres. 14 points off the bench for Manu Ginobili.
On WOAL, Spurs improved to 21-0 at home, 31-6 overall, and a 123-98 pounding of the Jazz. LeBron James and Kyrie Irving combined for 66 points.
Irving, he'll uncork a three. He'll knock it down. Irving slightly right of center. He now has 32 points.
On WTAM, the Cavaliers make it 5 in a row with a 121-115 win over the Wizards in Washington. LBJ had 34. The Clippers have won 7 in a row, winning in Portland 109-98. To the NFL, the Buccaneers are looking for a new head coach after firing Lovie Smith. ESPN NFL analyst Herm Edwards says why.
This is a head-scratcher. There's no doubt about it. You watch this football team progress. And for Lovie Smith, I know he's got to be a little bit surprised as well.
Saints coach Sean Payton says he's staying with New Orleans. College basketball top 25 all winners, including Maryland, Xavier, and Villanova. And the top-ranked UConn women beat Tulsa by 60 points. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
For News Radio 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, it's Daybreak and 610. Good morning, I'm Jeff Slinky, looking at sports. Carol's here as well. We'll check the weather in just a second. Morning.
Morning.
Shelton High Climbers were looking to snap a 2-game losing streak hosting North Thurston last night. It was all Shelton in the first half, giving the Rams fits with a 2-3 zone. High Climbers took advantage on offense with sharp shooting, taking a 9-point lead into halftime. North Thurston picked up their defensive effort in the third quarter, cutting the High Climber lead to 6 heading into the fourth. Rams took control in the final quarter behind Zach Sibley's aggressive attacking play. Sibley finished with a game-high 17 as North Thurston knocked off Shelton 58-54. Sibley credits Rams head coach Tim Brown's halftime speech as motivation for their second half comeback.
I would say everything was our intensity. We just really stepped it up in the second half. First half we didn't play with any emotion, but I think Coach, gave us a good halftime speech. Guys motivated, and we came out and played hard.
Thank you to Sean Wells for providing us the play-by-play action last night. It was a lot of fun at the Mini Dome, and our next video cast is Friday night at 7 p.m. with Sean Wells, and it will be the Shelton Lady High Climbers welcoming the Lincoln Abes to town at the Mini Dome. Ken Griffey Jr. was flying high above Seattle. I mean, I think we all heard this yesterday. Mm-hmm. We're all so excited that Griffey now going to be into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Normally a 12th man flag, right? A 12.
Right, exactly. And
but it was a 24 on top of the
People
Space
are like,
Needle.
What's Marshawn Lynch's number?
I don't get it. No, it was 24 for the Griff, the kid. Mm-hmm. Just 3 folks did not vote for his induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And I think we all would like to go. Seattle Seahawks running back Marshawn Lynch is, quote, full go. That sounds good, actually, for returning to practice after being away from the team since undergoing abdominal surgery in late November. Seahawks coach Pete Carroll says Lynch went through walkthroughs on Wednesday morning and was expected to be a full participant in practice later yesterday. Lynch has not practiced since week 9 before the Hawks faced Arizona. Surgery on November 29th has been keeping him out. He's been working with personal trainers in the Bay Area the last couple of weeks. That'll be perfect for this upcoming weekend. We'll tell you the schedule in just a second. But first, Carroll also said strong safety Cam Chancellor, guard J.R. Sweezy, tackle Russell Okung, and tight end Luke Wilson are all on track to play this week after missing last week's games with injuries. Hawks will play in Minnesota this weekend in the first round of the playoffs. We've got the coverage for you starting at 8. Other playoff games are on Saturday. A doubleheader starts at 1. First up, Kansas City and Houston, then Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Sunday, as I mentioned, the Hawks in the morning, and then another great game. All great games this weekend. Green Bay at Washington, and KMAS will air all of those games this weekend. The Ole Town Artesians kick off the second half of the Western Indoor Soccer League season and wrap up their 3-game homestand when they play host to Bellingham United this Saturday night. Game time in the first of 2 straight games against the Hammers is scheduled for 6 at the Pavilion at Evergreen State College. And Saturday night at the Pavilion is Youth Soccer Night, Carol. All youth soccer players in uniform
will be admitted for free and then be invited to join the Artesians on the field during pregame player introductions, which, side note, I promise to do a better job at this week. Tickets are available at the door. Adults, $8. Kids, 5 to 12 or 5. And under 5 are free. Doors open at 5. And again, that's at the Pavilion at Evergreen State College. It's going to be a lot of fun. I am fearful, though, that it's going to be another chilly Saturday night at the Pavilion. But we got to get there first. Carol, what's the weather look like?
Well, right now it's 36. A little foggy, a lot foggy actually this morning.
Really foggy.
And it's, hard to see. So just, be aware of that. There's going to be some fog. And then it's going to turn into partly clouds this afternoon with some sunshine like we had yesterday afternoon, which was great. It's going to be a high of 42. Tonight, some clouds, low of 32. And then tomorrow through the weekend and then continuing with that partly cloudy daytime in the low 40s and overnight staying in the low to mid 30s. Rain isn't forecasted early next week, though. Saturday evening, about the time you're doing your deal, it's going to be already heading down to the low 30s. So gloves, hats, those little mitten warmer things that you snap.
Well, I'll tell you, last week they went to the Goodwill before the game or match, whatever you call it, and bought a bunch of blankets.
That's a great
and
idea.
Left them for people.
Yeah.
Says, hey, you're going to need these.
Yeah. Seat warmers, too. I mean, are they cement benches?
No, they're metal benches. So when they get cold, they do not warm up quickly.
No.
All right. And right now it's
36.
It's Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio. Join the guys as they talk with neighbors, newsmakers, and each other, getting your day off to the absolute best possible start in the history of mornings. Connect with Jeff and Dale through the KMAS listener line by email or Facebook. Now, from the artesian waters of South Puget Sound, Daybreak with Jeff and Dale.
Good morning to you. Thursday here, KMAS 616. Jeff and Carol with you this morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
A big deal for the kid.
Oh, I know. It's awesome. I was watching some footage of him yesterday talking about how he just feels so great about it. He was hoping, everybody hopes, I guess, obviously, if you're a baseball player.
Sure, you'd love to end up in the Hall of Fame.
And he realizes how hard it is, and he wasn't by any means trying to break a record. The person's record he broke, which of course I can't remember the name of that, was like his father's friend. They played together. Yeah. So he's known him for, so he wasn't like out to break the record, but he seemed pretty humbled by it.
Oh, great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, always, obviously not a kid anymore.
Obviously not.
He's got, Trey Griffey, his kid, plays football at Arizona. Great baller. All of his kids are good sportsmen. And so I'm saying, he's not as youthful as we remember him. But as soon as you see his face and he flashes those pearly whites, you just are reminded back to those games in the mid-90s when you're in the Kingdom and things are kind of going good, and you got Griffey there, and you got Buhner and Edgar, and kind of like that core group that really brought people to the Mariners in the mid-90s.
Right. It was interesting.
That smile. Go ahead.
Listening to him, he said, they're like, how'd you get so good? I mean, they didn't really ask him.
Tough questions.
Yeah, tough questions. So he said, well, when he first started out, his dad said, nobody wants to see your work. So he said he set up a batting thing in his basement or whatever, and he just was practicing every single night for hours and hours.
Oh, that's great.
And he just that's what he wanted to do, and so he did it. He said he didn't like to practice like that out there because then people are watching, and then you start getting a little cocky and you're not really paying attention to what you're doing. You're paying attention to what people are watching you do. So he said he just, he did his thing every night, and it showed.
It sure paid off.
Yeah.
What a sweet swing. I found an article, and we'll talk about it later. I don't know if you're familiar with the baseball card collection company Upper Deck.
No.
Okay, so Upper Deck came out. Griff was a rook, and he was the number one card in the series, 89. And you buy Upper Deck, 89, that's when they came out. And you had very good chances of getting a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. And it was card number 1. And he was like an awesome rookie. Well, the quick read this morning is that iconic card, which I think I have 3 of still in a safe somewhere. Finally, they're going to be worth something. They were up $200, $300, $400 at one point, I remember. And then they really dropped. And now I'm sure they'll zoom back up now that he's in the Hall of Fame. But the hat that he's wearing, the Seattle hat that he's wearing, was actually a Photoshop job. And it's one of the first kind of like Photoshop deals.
Oh, really?
It was a picture of him, what with a different hat. We'll talk about it later.
You're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio.
I'm Ari Wolf with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have parted ways with head coach Lovie Smith. The news coming late Wednesday night in the form of a statement from Buccaneers co-chairman Joel Glazer. This is easily the biggest surprise of all the NFL coaching moves this week. A different sort of surprise in New Orleans. Sean Payton is staying put. After all the media discussion that Payton was done as Saints head coach, or possibly even traded, Wednesday, Payton in a press conference confirmed that he will return for his 10th season with the Saints. Calvin Johnson might have played his last NFL snap. The Lions receiver released a statement Wednesday stating he's calculating his future, evaluating his options, and expects to have a decision soon on whether or not he will return for his 10th season. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Geico applauds your inner road champion.
The solid bump from Geico's fist to yours goes out to the little rebel that lives within. The one who made you daydream as a kid about owning a chopper, chroming it out, and chewing on toothpicks. Just to look tough. For you, champ, Geico insures motorcycles with great rates. And to further fuel your engine, you can access your policy anytime, day or night through the Geico mobile app. Because Geico knows that even make-believe renegades need help from time to time.
Geico Motorcycle. See how much you could save.
Gary, why aren't you outside enjoying the party?
Hey, Michelle. It's this heartburn. When it hits, it really hits hard.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's it. I've had it. I'm going to kick acid with Rolaids.
Rolaids Advanced goes to work instantly for powerful relief of your worst heartburn, bloating, and gas.
Wow, you're packed fast.
Yeah, I feel much better.
Now this is a party. Kick acid and gas with Rolaids Advanced.
You answered all your emails by noon. Get a freshly prepared Egg McMuffin. Actually left work on time? Then get yourself a savory sausage McMuffin with egg. You saw the weirdest midnight movie. Well, get a delicious sausage burrito. With McDonald's all-day breakfast menu, you can get delectable breakfast tastes anytime. Egg McMuffin, hotcakes and sausage and more. It's time to start enjoying the breakfast you love whenever you want. Just listen to a radio commercial? Get some golden hash browns. McDonald's all-day breakfast menu varies by location.
This love letter's for my sweet beauty. Your scent drives me all sorts of cray. Every time you touch my lips, ooh, how it makes my day. Rich, smooth, fresh, and steamy. Dang, you're a dream. So let me give you some sugar, and then perhaps some cream. There's no denying your love for a rich, smooth, fresh brewed McCafe. And now, get any size for just $1. A la carte only. Prices and participation may vary. Limited time offer.
Hi, this is 35th District Representative Drew McKeown, and you're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale.
Man, I don't know why I'm worrying so much on these switches and buttons and lights and cameras. I am out of here. I'm retiring.
What is, I don't get it. What's going on with you?
I mean, we just got done talking about Griffey. Carol was over here on eBay looking up that Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, that's true.
Rookie card, Upper Deck. Now, this is nearly pristine. What's the price at right now?
$783.
Come on, for a baseball card?
Hey, it's Ken Griffey Jr.
So when this came out in '89, you had the Upper Deck, you had the Topps traded, you had the Bowman which Bowman baseball cards, if you ever collected cards, they were longer than all the other cards. And really, no, that's not right.
Do you have one of these cards? The
Yeah.
Bowman? Yeah, $1,000.
So the Bowman cards, if you remember and you collected, or you were a parent whose kid collected and they were all over the house, the Bowman cards were always longer than all the other cards. So they didn't fit into the proper card folders.
Okay.
And so I mean, I could see how a rare 89 Bowman Griff could be $1,000, only because they're so much taller and they kind of, the edges would get dinged a little. So then they had the score, and there was Don Russ, and then there was the rated rookies of Don Russ, I think. So these are some great cards. I believe I have one of each of his rookie cards from each of the businesses that made baseball cards.
Well, you know what? Kaiser's going to get to go to college.
No way. He ain't getting any of that. I'm going to the baseball card store.
Oh, man. You're not going to sell those.
No. Wow. That's fun. That's fun to look up, too.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I can't believe I remember the Sports Illustrated with Griffey on the cover, and the name of it, there it says the sub caption is The Natural.
Mm-hmm.
Just got his great swing, and was looking at old videos from last night of his swing and his smile and them running around in 95. And that's actually the front page picture on the Olympian this morning, is that 95 tackle that everybody ran out. What fun.
Yep.
What fun. Got a great show for you today here on Daybreak at 6:25. In about 45 minutes or so, we're going to talk to U.S. Congressman in the 6th District here in the great state of Washington, Derek Kilmer. He'll be calling in to talk about some things that he's been working on. Recently ranked as one of the top 5 most active, I guess you could say, politicians in Washington. So that's cool that he's right here in our own district.
Right.
Mark Ziegler coming in at 8:45 for the focus on Shelton, and we'll talk with him. I believe the Parks Department has a special meeting coming up at one of the fire stations. We'll tell you about that. Tomorrow, Carol, we're really excited to talk for the first time new city commissioner, Kathy McDowell. Who made some comments early this week in some city meetings. And so we'll be able to see how Kathy is fitting into her new role as city commissioner. Also, Shelton School Superintendent Dr. Alex Apostle will be in to remind us about Graduation Matters, which is upcoming soon. And 35th District Rep. Drew McEwen tomorrow at 8:45 to talk about this upcoming session, which starts on Monday. KMAS.com's got some news stories, it looks like. And what's the big one there, Carol?
Well, there has been some tweaking with the the marijuana board, the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board.
Yeah.
They continued to refine marijuana rules following 6 public hearings held out. So people have spoken, and these are some of the recent changes that they have included. Blah, blah, blah. One of the main ones, though, which sort of cracks me up, is they're going to add Mr. Yuck stickers to all labels for infused edible and liquid products.
I remember those stickers growing up.
Yeah, so did they deter you?
Yeah, they did.
Okay, well, they're supposed to deter the kids. So,
yeah, you look at a Mr. Yuck sticker like that, and you know to not touch it, to look at it, because it could be rat poison, it could be bleach, now it could be marijuana. Yeah, Mr. Yuck. I do remember those stickers.
All right, so that they're going to put that on. The board chair, Jane Rushford, said that since the beginning it's been an open and transparent process, and she said they've been listening and reviewing to public comment, and so that's pretty much what they came up with.
Interesting also, removing the language prohibiting characterizing flavors for inhalants. So does that mean then you could say root beer flavored? Is that removing the language prohibiting characterizing
probably
flavors?
Like maybe yummy root beer, you don't get to put the yummy on?
Berry breeze maybe, or like a weird
Yeah, so you probably just have to put the flavor. So these are not adopted yet. They'll be adopted on the 24th of February, and there'll be another public hearing on February 10th.
Okay. 6:28 here at KMAS. Mary Lynn Foster has some latest and local news here just shortly, and we'll check again the sports from last night and around the area. Big day for Seattle sports as the 24th man flag was raised above the Space Needle this morning. And some other stories that we're going to talk about. We talked yesterday, kind of off the cuff a little, about, maybe it was earlier than a week, firemen. Right? Saying firemen or fire people and the gender roles. Right. Well, the Marine Corps and boot camps and job titles are to become gender neutral. So we'll talk about that story. Just not like infantryman. That'll stay the same. But if you're a fire support man, they're thinking, well, we could probably just drop the man. Right. And you just are fire support.
Why not?
So we'll look over that as well, and a great way to translate foreign languages.
You're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
You're listening to KMAS News Radio. I'm Mary Lynn Foster. There's a new chairman for the Mason County Commissioners. During this week's commission meeting on Tuesday, Commissioner Randy Netherland turned over the gavel to new chairman Terry Jeffries. Netherland and Commissioner Tim Sheldon voted to give Jeffries the position for 2016. The city of Shelton is one step closer to becoming a Tree City USA, as the Shelton City Commissioners unanimously approved a tree preservation ordinance Monday night. The Arbor Day Foundation sponsors the Tree City USA program. They say the benefits to becoming a Tree City USA include reducing costs for energy, stormwater management, and erosion control, boosting property values across the community by 7 to 20%, and creating a framework for a healthy, sustainable urban forestry program in the city. Now that the ordinance is passed, there are a few more things the city must do. City Community and Economic Development Director Steve Goins says they need to establish a department or board with the responsibility of care to all trees on city property. Document that at least $2 per capita goes toward planting, care, and removal of city trees and planning efforts to observe Arbor Day. Shelton applied to become a Tree City USA in late 2015. During Transit Talk on Daybreak this week, Mason Transit Director Brad Patterson talked about MTA being named the 2015 Rural Transportation System of the Year.
CTAA, Community Transportation Association of America, is all the rural and small agencies. They've got over 4,000 members around the country. And so, every year they select the best rural transit system in the country. And so for 2015, we were selected. Patterson shared the criteria used by CTAA to determine the recipient of the high honor. A combination of things. You got the cake and you got the topping on the cake, right? The topping on the cake was the Transit Community Center, the first of its kind in the country.
Right, and it's really nice.
Yeah, it's not been done anywhere. You see transit centers that have businesses in with them, retail businesses or whatever, that help pay the cost of the transit center. You don't see it with a community center. How many transit centers, tell me, raise your hands, how many transit centers have you seen around the country that have a gym? Yeah. Have a commercial kitchen and those kinds of things. The rest of it is the history of the agency and all the programs, the innovation that's been done, the level of service. Being fare free or prepaid, however you want to describe it, is certainly not very common at all. Good safety record, should be a countywide system, all the regional connections. So just a combination of all those things.
Learn more about the benefits of mass transit and how MTA serves the community weekly during Transit Talk on Daybreak. You can hear this week's full interview on the Daybreak page at KMAS.com. I'm Mary Lynn Foster, your local news at AM 1030 and FM 103.3, and always on KMAS.com.
Ascend Roofing Company in Shelton's on top of it. 868-2730. Roofing work that speaks for itself.
Just a note to express our appreciation for restoring our faith in a handshake. You did what you said you would, and that's all anyone can expect.
We truly appreciate the work that was done. And your son Ryan is a wonderful representative of your company. Thank you again for making the gutters clean and our roof moss resistant.
You could be the next happy customer by calling Ascend Roofing. 868-2730.
Somebody called Classified has tempted me to answer. That's an interesting, plus there's a big picture of the gray on this guy's Skype. So Classified, hello.
Mr. Bell, can you hear me?
I can.
I have to keep this very brief, so I'll get to the point. I was involved with an organization that hacked into classified NSA servers, top secret.
Seriously?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, seriously?
Midnight in the Desert with Art Bell, live weeknights 9 to midnight on KMAS. All right, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here at KMAS, 6:35 on a Thursday morning. U.S. Congressman Derek Kilmer will be calling in about 40 minutes from right now, but currently it's sports time, and the High Climbers were looking to snap a 2-game losing streak last night as they hosted the North Thurston Rams on a video cast on KMAS.com. It was all Shelton in the first half, giving the Rams fits with a 2-3 zone. The High Climbers took advantage on offense with sharpshooting, taking a 9-point lead into the half, and North Thurston picked up their defensive effort in the third quarter, cutting the High Climber lead to 6 heading into the fourth. The final score was 58-54, North Thurston with the win. And Zach Sibley had the game-high 17 points. He credits the Rams head coach Tim Brown's halftime speech as motivation for a second-half comeback.
I would say everything was our intensity. We just really stepped it up in the second half. First half, we didn't play with any emotion, but I think Coach, gave us a good halftime speech, got us motivated, and we came out and played hard.
So our next video cast on KMAS.com is going to be this Friday night, and it's girls, the Lady High Climbers from the Mini Dome, 7 o'clock. Sean Wells on the calls, and the Lincoln Abes come to town. Ken Griffey nominated and inducted into the Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame with a near record 100%. Just 3 voters voted against Griffey getting in, and Mike Piazza was the other guy that got in yesterday. Hawks are going to play in Minnesota. It's wild card weekend. Sunday morning, we start our coverage at 8. Other playoff games this weekend start Saturday at 1 with Kansas City at Houston, then Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Sunday morning game is us, and then Green Bay at Washington. We'll have all the games on KMAS this weekend. What else? Running back Marshawn Lynch is a full go for returning to practice. He'll be on the field come game time. It's going to be -2.
Yes, like
kickoff
in a deep meat freezer. Burns your skin after about 2 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, that may help Marshawn. A lot of people do these things where they go into sub-zero conditions, for a couple minutes.
Well, maybe.
No, it's still too cold.
It's pretty cold.
It's going to be very cold.
It's going to be cold.
Old Town Artesians kick off the second half of the Whistle season and wrap up their 3-game homestand when they play host to Bellingham United on Saturday night. Game time in the first of 2 straight games against Bellingham is scheduled for 6 at the Pavilion at Evergreen State College. And this Saturday night is youth soccer night, and it's going to be a lot of fun. All youth soccer players in uniform will be admitted for free and invited to join the Artesians on the field pregame introductions for the players. Tickets are available at the door. oldtownfc.com is the website. Madden, the video game series Madden, has simulated the NFL playoffs. We'll talk about who comes out the victor on the PS4 battles, but first we got to get to the forecast. Here's Carol.
Good morning, Jeff.
Morning.
Right now it's 36, and it's pretty foggy this morning. It's going to turn to clouds this afternoon, and there's going to be some sunshine. There's going to be a high of 42. Tonight, it'll be just cloudy with a low of 32. And tomorrow through the weekend, it's going to be continuing with this partly cloudy daytime in the low 40s with some sun, and then overnight staying in the low to mid 30s. And we don't have any rain forecasted till early next week. And right now it's 36.
It's Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio. Join the guys as they talk with neighbors, newsmakers, and each other, getting your day off to the absolute best possible start in the history of mornings. Connect with Jeff and Dale through the KMAS listener line, by email or Facebook. Now, from where I-5 takes a sharp left toward Portland, Daybreak with Jeff and Dale.
All right, good morning to you. It's 6:39 here at KMAS. Car, you have an announcement to make?
I do. The Peninsula Art Association is holding their meeting in the PUD 3 meeting room at the Johns Prairie campus Sunday, January 10th at 1:30 p.m.
Oh, okay, good. Late reminder there.
Yes.
So make sure you have your calendars updated. I went to the Children's Museum yesterday in Olympia, and oh, what fun. Kaiser and his buddy Reese were there, and it was Reese's first time, so we were exploring all the things. It's just so fun to see the wonder and amazement that these kids have. And we were outside as well, and it's still kind of chilly outside. We were reminded the other day of that terrible story of those 3 kids, remember, stuck in the casino parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
And so basically what happened is it was in Pennsylvania, and this couple left their 3 kids, 8, 3, and 1 or something like that, for a few hours in the evening time at a casino while they were in gaming. And I mean, it is just, and we were in the middle of winter here, and it was kind of even cold last night. The fog was starting to roll in, as you mentioned, and it was very foggy this morning.
Yes, it was.
My visibility was
horrible.
Very horrible. And in certain spots, at least on my walk, it was a little slick.
Well, there was a little ice slush I noticed in a couple spots, but there hasn't been anything posted by anybody about around this area on any collisions, though there's always a collision, a fender bender on I-5, it seems like. But just be aware and watch out. I mean, it says 36 degrees out, but in my car temperature was like 30 degrees out. So I wonder if that's up at the airport. So I wonder what kind of, maybe I need to look into a little more of that reading. 36 seems awfully high right now. I'll have to check that out.
An outside study of the Washington State Patrol has found that the agency struggles with recruiting and retaining troops due to low pay and dissatisfactions with their management. This is a news story posted on the regional tab under KMAS.com. The Daily Herald reports that Chief John Batiste says he welcomed the look into his agency's problems, but disagrees that low morale and conflicts with management could be the cause. He doesn't have his ideas of what the cause are, though, I noticed. The $240,000 study prepared by Public Financial Management, Inc. looked at the agency's pay scales, hiring policies, recruitment practices, and recommended changes in all the areas to try to fill the vacancies and slow departures. Batiste says he hopes the legislature will address the low salaries, but that he has not encountered low morale. And he has no interest in making any changes in management. So that story continues with the State Patrol. We got that great training center just right down the road from us here at KMAS out on the Dayton Airport Road. And good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at 6:42. There was some awards ceremonies last night. The American Idol got underway, and I was quickly mentioning about wearable translators, Carol, and one of the things, you are in a foreign country and you need to find out where the restaurants are, where the bathrooms are. And if you didn't try to even, if you're going to go to a foreign country, you got to at least learn how to say where's the bathroom, please. Or where's a restaurant, please.
Yeah, I think that would be
so even if you don't take those minimal skills, computers and technology every day gets better and better. There's a thing called Google Translate, which does a pretty good job at translating things. Unfortunately, you need an internet connection. There's a new device that was launched this week at the CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, which we talked about early in the week, called ILI. And it is a wearable translator that repeats phrases back in the language of your choosing. Currently, it's English, Chinese, or Japanese, but it doesn't require internet connection, and it's voice activated. So it looks like just kind of like a little tiny iPod thing, and I'm guessing it has all the languages in its memory,
right? And
you just kind of. So, you're on a dark and stormy road in Bangkok or something like that, and it's raining, and your car has got no tires, and somebody comes up, but you don't know how to communicate, and you're like pointing at the tire going, what do I do? And fortunately, these new devices
I need help. And it'll translate it.
So it's voice, it's audio. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Until then, though, true travelers have to rely on a more tried and true method. Just smile and nod.
That's
smile
true.
And nod.
Smile and do, hand signals and such. So we're speaking about technology,
Yes.
etc. So last Monday, I think it was, the governor was meeting with some officials and Homeland Security, and they were talking about cybersecurity and privacy measures. So the governor, Jay Inslee, has signed an executive order to create a state office of privacy and data protection. And he announced cybersecurity collaboration with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. So this partnership and executive action were announced yesterday. And a news release from Inslee's office says the Office of Cybersecurity is going to work with Homeland Security to find new ways sites can defend against increasingly sophisticated and targeted cyber threats. So,
Does it say who? Who's going to do it? Who's going to run this Office of Cybersecurity?
There's an executive order. I haven't read that yet. I don't know if they have actually assigned people, but this Office of Privacy and Data Protection plans to conduct annual reviews of personal data collected by state agencies and promises privacy measures like limiting sale of personal information to third parties and monitoring complaints about the state's collection of personal data. That's sort of interesting.
Yeah. Tuesday, we had our legislative send-off here, and one of the missing in action was Drew McEwen, and he was meeting with the governor just about this topic. That's why I wonder. We'll talk with him tomorrow.
Yeah, find out some more information.
Are you on the short list? He's on the short list of running this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see. 6:45 here at KMAS. Take a quick break. Living the country life on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio.
Cold sandwiches don't cut it at my house during the winter. Hi, I'm Jody Henke. Slow cookers work overtime in cold weather to make dinner easy to fix when you're living the country life.
Living the country life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic and from previous shows by visiting us online at livingthecountrylife.com. We'll return to the show after these messages.
Commodity Classic is all about what's new. New ideas, new innovation, new equipment, new technology, new friends. And this year it all happens in New Orleans, March 3rd through the 5th. Commodity Classic is where the best soybean, corn, wheat, and sorghum farmers come to get even better. And here's something else that's new. The Association of Equipment Manufacturers joins Commodity Classic in 2016. There's plenty to get jazzed about as Commodity Classic heads to New Orleans, March 3rd through 5th. Discover more at commodityclassic.com.
Read Living the Country Life magazine on your computer and mobile devices. Each issue features great stories, how-to help, reader tips, and recipes, as well as beautiful photos to spark new ideas for your place in the country. All the stories and features you love about Living the Country Life magazine are right at your fingertips, anywhere, any way you want them. Visit nextissue.com or zenio.com to subscribe. There's no limit to how many times you can enjoy your digital editions of Living the Country Life.
I don't have time after a long day at work to throw together a hearty 5-course dinner every night, but I can put a beef roast in the slow cooker in the morning, and it's ready when I come home at night. The warm smell that greets me at the door is so instantly comforting. Any roast does well in there, but you have to be careful. Lynn Blanchard is the director of the Better Homes and Gardens Test Kitchen. She says a big mistake is not putting the right amount of food in the slow cooker.
If it's not full enough, the food cooks too quickly and then gets overdone. If it's too full, it takes too long to get up to temperature, and so your food may be at an unsafe temperature for too long of a time. Usually we say between 1/2 and 2/3 full is kind of the right amount to put in your slow cooker.
Slow cookers vary from brand to brand, and some cook hotter than others. Make sure yours is working right by testing the food temperature after 4 hours of cooking on low. It should read at least 140 degrees, which is the minimum safe temperature. Sometimes I'll make a recipe that doesn't make enough to fill it, and I don't have the room in my kitchen to store more than one size. Blanchard says you can buy a slow cooker that comes with one base unit and 3 different sizes of inserts.
So there's a 2-quart insert, a 4-quart insert, and a 6-quart insert based on your cooking needs. Because how many people have bought a little crock pot because they like to use it for appetizers, a medium-sized crock pot for family cooking, and then when they go to those big potluck gatherings, they have a 6 to 8 quart. Well, this one kind of combines the best of all three worlds.
This clever unit also nestles the different sized inserts so it stores together and doesn't take up extra room. We have more tips for using your slow cooker at livingthecountrylife.com. I'll see you in the country.
Living the Country Life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic, share your tips, and post photos by visiting us online.
Mason County Garbage and Recycling on Johns Prairie here in Shelton is pleased to offer safe and efficient removal services. Mason County Garbage and Recycling is always mindful of environmental standards and is continuously striving for the highest excellence. Mason County Garbage and Recycling, upholding your trust within the community. Questions? Call 426-8729. In Belfair, 275-4590.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom31.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom31.com. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom31.com.
Hi, this is Terry Shaw from the Mason County Senior Activity Center. You're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on Newsradio 1030 KMAS. Boy, you're smart listening to this station.
6:51, and CNBC has a radio business report for us here in about 7 minutes or so. The People's Choice Awards were on last night. These are the best ones because it's the people that vote, not the Academy, if you will.
I guess they just don't know what they're talking about.
Super emotional. If you didn't see it last night, Vin Diesel was up there on stage. He got the awards for favorite movie and favorite action movie for Furious 7. And, of course, you don't talk about Fast and the Furious and Vin Diesel without thinking about Paul Walker, who died in a car crash. When we didn't want to come back to film, when the tragedy was too heavy, he says it was the love of everyone combined that saw us through the end. And now I'm standing here with all of you, and all of you have told me that this is your favorite film of the year. I like these movies, these Fast and the Furious movies. They are fun. They are great if you like cars, and it's also fun. I think they're going to make 2 more. I think they want 9 of these things. If you go back to the very first Fast and the Furious 1, it's also very cool to see the stuff that they're trying to boost, like 13-inch TV VCR combos.
What is that?
And the top of the line VCR players and things like that that were in the thing. Sandra Bullock was up there as well, talked about some stories about her family after she was named favorite movie actress. She said that her 5-year-old son Lewis asked her earlier if he'd win an award for the home videos that they made, and when she asked him what he would say to the audience, he says, "I would like to say thank you to the world and thank you to the planet. So little
great.
Lewis, 5 o'clock. Some of the 5 years old. Some of the other winners last night: movie actor Channing Tatum. We mentioned Sandra Bullock. Action movie actor was Chris Hemsworth. He's Thor. Selena Gomez was the animated movie voice in Hotel Transylvania 2. Comedies: Pitch Perfect 2. You ever seen that?
Yep, it's a great movie.
I like that one and the first one. Who else won?
Favorite comedic actor, Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Is good. And then favorite comedic actress, Melissa McCarthy, which is, she's hilarious. Favorite dramatic movie is The Martian, which is great.
You saw that?
No, I haven't seen the movie yet, but the book was just awesome. Really, the book's just really great.
So are you, I read Jurassic Park, the book, and then I watched the movie, and I was upset because it wasn't like the book at all. Do you get upset when you see a movie you think this is going to be a good one based off the book?
Well,
or do you know already?
I already know that. I mean, because I'm a reader, so
avid reader.
Okay. So usually when the only movie that has gone exactly like the book is The Princess Bride. I mean, it almost goes word for word quotes out of the book.
Well, I mean, Columbo was reading the book to Fred Savage in the movie.
Yes, but when they were acting and they were actually the characters were doing their characterizing. I mean, that to me has been like the one that was exactly. But I don't really. I mean, you have to take some artistic liberties with the movie, and usually it's not the writer that gets the say. It depends if he sold his rights or her rights to the deal. So. You know, I mean, I imagine The Martian's going to be good, but already just looking at the commercials, I can tell it's a little different from the book, but it's still fun and exciting to see your what you had in your mind up on the big screen.
Has it ever been better than what was in your mind?
No.
Favorite dramatic movie actor, Johnny Depp. Dakota Johnson gets it for the favorite movie actress. Family movie was Minions. And Taken 3 was the favorite thriller.
I saw Taken 1 and I haven't seen any of the others.
I saw the second one.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all the same. That's pretty good.
Is the same girl taken every time? I mean, hello, why doesn't she?
What's her deal? Get a safe room.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not her every time, but I see what you're saying.
I know. How far can you go?
Big Bang Theory gets favorite TV show. Is that up? Are they wrapping this up this year? I heard, but I don't know for sure. But that, and for favorite network TV comedy, also, it's a great show. I mean, it's. The one-liners they have in there are just so funny. Also, look, favorite network TV drama, Grey's Anatomy. Wow, that's still
going.
That is still going when there's so many better dramas out there. Like, is Scandal a drama?
Yeah, but
Scandal's a good.
Grey's Anatomy is it's been around for so long. It's like it's a TV soap.
And Ellen Pompeo, who won for best dramatic TV actress. That's Grey, right?
Yeah, Meredith Grey.
Homeland, you ever seen that show on cable TV? Showtime, I think.
But I thought it stopped. So it went from regular TV to cable TV, maybe, or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I haven't been watching the Homeland.
And then a great one, favorite TV crime drama actor. He was the captain on Firefly, Nathan Fillion. Oh, he does not take himself very seriously. I like Nathan Fillion. So that was what was going on at the Golden Globes, or People's Choice, this weekend. This Sunday night are the Golden Globes. They've got Ricky Gervais back.
Oh, my goodness.
He rips on those actors.
Uncomfortable and awkward host.
We all feel it. Yeah. We can all feel everybody's kind of cringing. What is he going to say?
Yeah, what is he going to say? But they brought him back.
He's so funny. All right, 7 o'clock.
You're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio.
I'm Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio. Another brutal day on Wall Street, and we've just begun. Stocks plunging and are on track for the worst week since August. The major averages dropping more than 1% in the open. Traders reacting to a 7% drop in Chinese shares, which triggered a circuit breaker, halting trade in Chinese shares for the second time this week. The Dow's down 217 points, the Nasdaq lower by 82. Weekly jobless claims fell 10,000 to 277,000. That was slightly more than the 275,000 economists were expecting. Shares of Apple continue to fall, dropping below $100 for the first time in nearly 5 months. The stock has dropped almost 4.5% in just 2 days. Selling was triggered by reports of slowing shipments of the iPhone 6S and 6S Plus. Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio.
America was built by people with a few dollars and a dream. And while many don't know it, there's one path to success that still only requires a dream and about $10. That's right. If your dream is to start or grow your business, something as simple as the right business card could make all the difference. And today at Vistaprint.com, you can get 500 full-color business cards for only $9.99. That's right. Only $9.99. Just go to Vistaprint.com and enter promo code 9898 at checkout. That's Vistaprint.com, promo code 9898.
There are times being a genius would really come in handy.
This is Houston. Your oxygen levels will be depleted unless you put the valve modulator into the auxiliary gauge after you have calibrated the flexternal matrix, not the external matrix. Do not touch that one.
I'm just a cook. But thankfully, you don't need to be a genius to do your own taxes. Because with TurboTax, you can snap a photo of your W-2 with your smartphone, and it will automatically put your information into all the right forms. Intuit TurboTax. Taxes done.
KMAS Shelton is now everywhere you are. AM 1030, FM 1033, and online at KMAS.com.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. It could be a long day on Wall Street. Stocks plunged more than 300 points at the open on growing fears about a second halt to Chinese trading this week by automatic circuit breakers after a second 7% drop. ABC's Lindsay Davis tells us the fear has been globally contagious.
There's certainly a ripple effect from China. Wall Street is already off to its worst start since the 2008 financial crisis, down nearly 3% in the first 3 days of trading this year, perhaps indicative of the old saying, when China sneezes, the world catches a cold.
Shanghai index circuit breakers will be suspended for tomorrow's trading session. Eggs are okay again, according to new government dietary guidelines, the first since 2011. The new rules also green light up to 5 cups of coffee a day. But scientists are calling for limits on certain fats and sugars. ABC's Dan Childs explains.
Health officials are saying that Americans should consume no more than 10% of their calories per day from what are known as added sugars. Now, these need to be distinguished, obviously, from naturally occurring sugars in things like fruit or milk, but sugars that are added, for example, high fructose corn syrup, regular, real, quote-unquote, real sugar, turbinado sugar, all of those things constitute added sugars.
Nobody won. So the Powerball jackpot climbs from $500 million to at least $675 million for Saturday's drawing. Insert your dreams here.
Buy my daughter her dream house, good college fund for my granddaughters, and then get me a chauffeur.
They all made it out alive. 17 miners temporarily trapped in an underground elevator shaft at a New York salt mine were all pulled out, a few at a time, with the help of a crane. The job market made some positive noise. 10,000 fewer people applied for unemployment benefits last week, suggesting employers are not only holding on to staffers, but thinking of adding more. Janet Jackson is denying rumors she's battling throat cancer. She tweeted to fans, "The reports are untrue," but she hasn't said what she has, only that she's recovering. This is ABC News.
Racing legend Richard Petty.
After over 1,100 races, you could say I've been through the ringer. To help me keep feeling my best, I use odor-free Blue MU made with real MU oil. Blue MU continuous pain relief spray makes it perfect for all those hard-to-reach places. And now there's the new Blue MU Maximum Arthritis Pain Relief Cream. Perfect for hard-hitting arthritis pain. Thanks to Blue MU, nothing slows down the king. Use what I use. Blue MU. It works fast and you won't stink.
Available at Walmart, Walgreens, and other fine retailers.
Welcome to the 474 at Fridays. Welcome to $4 appetizers, to sharing with the table. Welcome to $7 entrees, to not ordering the usual, trying something new. Welcome to $4 desserts, to actually having room for dessert. Welcome to lower prices and portions that are just right. Welcome to the 474. Apps and desserts starting at $4, entree starting at $7. The 474, the new menu, only at TGI Fridays. At participating restaurants, prices apply to just right portions only.
It's Daybreak with Jeff Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio. Join the guys as they talk with neighbors, newsmakers, and each other, getting your day off to the absolute best possible start in the history of mornings. Connect with Jeff and Dale through the KMAS listener line, by email or Facebook. Now from Shelton's Media Row, Daybreak with Jeff and Dale.
Well, good morning to you. It's 7:03 here at KMAS, and we'll get to the sports and weather here in just a second. But we are very happy to have on the phone line, representing the Washington 6th District, it's Representative Derek Kilmer. Good morning, Derek.
Hey, good to be back with you.
Nice to hear from you. Happy New Year.
And to you. And, I'm excited about the sports and weather. Very excited about King Griffey Jr.
Oh, you kidding? Yesterday, I don't know if you saw a picture, but they put on the Space Needle a 24.
That's awesome.
Everybody thought it was for Marshawn Lynch, but then it was for the kid. So very exciting. And earlier this morning we were talking about, and I think you and I are similar in age in the sense that I was reminiscing of my Griffey rookie cards.
Oh, yeah.
That I had at the one time. And, you got so many of those. Now start saving those so you can pass them on to your girls. How's that sound?
Absolutely. They're sitting in a box in my garage. So I still have them.
Perfect. First off, congratulations. We talked about this on KMAS last week or so. Washington Post named you one of the 10 most effective members of Congress. That's got to make you feel real good.
Well, yeah, sure. It does. Although, I'm sure as people see the dysfunction in Congress, it makes folks feel like it's like being named one of the best players on the Bad News Bears. But, listen, we've talked before. I try to work really hard. I try to work with everybody, work in a bipartisan way and stay focused on making progress. And that can be tough in this environment, but I think it's really important if we're going to get things back on track. So it was nice to be included on that list of folks who are actually having some impact and being effective. And, and the other thing is I'm really grateful to the people I represent, because I can't make progress without the ideas and support and feedback that I hear from your listeners. So I sure appreciate that.
On an average day, how many interactions does your office get with your constituents?
Oh, hundreds. I mean, literally hundreds. We're constantly getting emails and letters and phone calls, and then when I'm in the district, as I just was for a couple weeks, I'm constantly at events, and it's just very helpful to hear from people who've got ideas or concerns, because it informs how I represent you.
For sure. Right before we last talked to you, we were, I think, just a day away from a potential government shutdown. That was averted, and it added into it it was the omnibus. Is that where we're at this year?
Yeah. That's what passed.
So that
was
passed,
called the Omnibus Appropriations Act,
and it had a pretty big impact for the state of Washington. What was in there that is going to help us out?
Yeah, you know what? It's good news. It's just good news that Congress passed a spending bill. It's kind of like it's like the dancing bear. He may not dance very well, but he's dancing. That's impressive. So the fact that Congress actually passed a spending bill and averted a government shutdown is, I guess, something to celebrate, even though that's a darn low bar.
Yeah.
But the good news is there was actually some good stuff in the bill. Obviously, we talked in the past about my concerns about some of the proposed cuts to military veterans. Those got addressed. Actually, you saw additional funding to serve our veterans and to address some of the issues around care through the VA and mental health care through the VA. Unlike the last year's funding bill that cut $2.5 billion of education funding, this bill actually made some improvements in K-12 and early learning funds, which I think are very good. We've talked in the past about one of my priorities is trying to protect Puget Sound, and in a bill that did make some difficult cuts, you actually saw funding preserved for Puget Sound. Because I want to make sure that my little girls are going to be able to swish, fish, and swim and dig for clams, just like our generation did. So a lot of good things in that bill. we talked in the past also about the Land and Water Conservation Fund, which helps with building of parks and trails and, protecting some of those forest lands. And that was also extended and saw an increase in funds in the bill. So by and large, it was a pretty good bill, and most importantly, it was a bipartisan bill. So you saw Democrats and Republicans come together to pass it, and I think that's good news. The other thing that was part of that end of the year, vote-a-thon was a tax policy bill that made some important changes in tax policy. And I can talk about that too, because some of it's really relevant in our neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, what's often happened in Congress is Congress will pass what they call tax extenders, where they'll pass tax policy 12 months at a time, but often they'll do it retroactively. So, it's almost useless for a family that's trying to plan or for a small business that's trying to plan. And importantly, in the tax bill that passed at the end of the year, there were some permanent changes to the tax code. So, for example, the enhanced child tax credit, which goes for families with kids, was made permanent. The earned income tax credit, which provides tax relief to working families so that they could be lifted out of poverty, was made permanent. The enhanced American Opportunity Tax Credit that helps families pay for college was made permanent. One of the things that has long been a sticking point for our state has been, we've had that sales tax credit, because our state doesn't have an income tax. Periodically, our state gets to credit our state sales tax and our local sales tax against our federal income tax. Not only was that extended in this bill, it was extended permanently. And that ends in inequity that really hurt Washington State for far too long. So that was, I think, a success that came at the end of the year. It didn't get a whole lot of attention, but I think it's really good news for the folks I represent.
I was just thinking about that, and perhaps it's my worldview or something, but I hear what you're talking about. I hear some of these great things that are happening. And yet when we watch the nightly news or we hear about it on the national radio broadcasts, a lot of these, it's all boils down to, well, this wasn't in the bill, or this still is contentious. Why is there it seems the push for the more, I guess, the negative side of the stories? And these are good news stories that I think the community, the public, the voting public especially, would like to hear, that things are actually getting done.
Yeah, it's funny. I do a bunch of town hall meetings, and I go out and speak to civic groups, Rotary clubs and Kiwanis clubs and chambers of commerce. And what I always say is, part of my role is to be, available and accessible and accountable, and to let you know the good, the bad, and the ugly. And frankly, over the last 3 years, the good is sometimes hard to come by, and there's a fair amount of bad and ugly. But every now and then, you actually see the partisan bickering put aside for a little while, and you see Democrats and Republicans come together to get some stuff done. And thankfully that happened at the end of last year. You saw that with a transportation bill that we talked about last time I was on with you. You saw an education bill that that got rid of the No Child Left Behind and provided some additional flexibility to states and to school districts, and continues to ensure that kids can when they graduate high school, are ready for either a job or for college. That was progress. You saw this budget bill pass, and all of those things I think are good things. Now the reality is we still have a heck of a lot of work to do. Even in terms of the tax bill, I still think the tax code is too complicated, and still sticks it to Main Street businesses in a way that I think needs reform. But that doesn't mean we can't actually highlight some of the progress that we are making. It just means you can't treat it like we've checked the box and all the work is done. We've got more work to do.
Finally, Derek, I was watching the Rose Parade, and their theme was national parks. 100 years of national parks. They were celebrating all the great ones, and the State of the Union is coming up next week. Your special guest is directly involved with the national parks and the Olympic National Park.
Yeah, that's right. I as a member of Congress, I get one ticket to the State of the Union other than my own seat. And I invited Sarah Creechbaum, who's the superintendent of the Olympic National Park, to come as my guest, and in large part to spotlight the centennial of the park system and of the park service. You know, I grew up in PA and up in Port Angeles, and you know, there wasn't a summer that we didn't, you know, do something in the park. Usually it was driving up to Hurricane Ridge and going for a hike or you know, having a picnic or something like that, usually a few times a year. And the reality is that is just a huge part of, you know, our region. And just think of the, you know, the businesses that have been able to grow because of the park, whether it's, you know, folks who've got a restaurant or a guided tour business, or you know, a hotel or bed and breakfast, or you know, even I was just talking with some of my team yesterday. My grandfather had a road paving company, and he paved part of the road up to Hurricane Ridge. And you know, so there's a bunch of local businesses that have really benefited from the presence of the park as well. And you know, I think Congress sometimes fails to appreciate the park service. You've seen some pretty substantial cuts in their maintenance budgets, and so I invited Sarah really to shine a light on the importance of the park service and the importance of making the right investments to support those parks and to support their staff, and hopefully to remind my colleagues that protecting the parks for future generations should be a bipartisan effort.
Where do the guests sit?
They're up in the gallery, so
Okay.
they're up above. You know, sometimes they'll you know, on TV they'll show, you know, the first lady will be sitting up in the gallery, and there's a bunch. So there's galleries all that just lines the entire top of the house, and so our guests sit up there, and your seat basically gets better. Your guest seat gets better as you gain seniority. So hopefully within a few years, my guest might actually be able to see the president.
Derek Kilmer, our congressman in Washington's 6th District, we do thank you so much for the time you spend with us here monthly on KMAS, and we'll talk again real soon.
You bet. Thanks, you guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's 7:15 here at KMAS. We'll take a quick break, Carol. When we come back, we'll look back on some of the news stories from Marilyn Foster, and we'll check on the weather forecast.
This is Men's Health Live from Men's Health Magazine.
Lou, how do we account for this nation full of heavy people? We eat a lot of foods that our bodies simply, you know, throughout our evolutionary history, we haven't encountered these. Our grandparents didn't encounter these foods. In a lot of cases, our parents didn't encounter these foods. So we have absolutely no defense mechanism.
Men's Health Live, the radio show that's full of tons of useful stuff. From the biggest and best-selling men's lifestyle magazine in the world, Men's Health.
Gillis Auto Center in Shelton. Best deals, best price, best trade, and low payments. Gillis is your home for Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram truck with over 350 new vehicles available for you today. That's 350 new vehicles available. This is your year-end closeouts. The 2015s have got to go to make room for the new 2016s. We're talking year-end closeout pricing, rebates, and low interest. Gillis is Mason County's only new car dealership at the City Center Mount Lock exit and 24/7 at GillisAutoCenter.com.
It's Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio. Join the guys as they talk with neighbors, newsmakers, and each other, getting your day off to the absolute best possible start in the history of mornings. Connect with Jeff and Dale through the KMAS listener line, by email, or Facebook. Now, from somewhere in the wilderness of the Olympic Peninsula, Daybreak with Jeff and Dale.
And we were just speaking about that beautiful Olympic Peninsula with Derek Kilmer. What a great conversation that he's a fun guy to talk to.
He is. Lots of information. And there's a lot of news and information that doesn't get out. Good information.
Yeah.
Some people are actually doing their job, you know, or trying to.
I mean, it's amazing, too, how there's so much rancor and back and forth in public, it seems like. But then when the rubber needs to hit the road, we all kind of get along on some of these issues. If you take the politics out of the policy, there's not a lot of difference between everybody.
Right.
The politics is what really is the subject.
People get entrenched in, I'm not going to even look at that because it's not in my it's not in my group.
And everybody does it. I do that too.
It's not just
it's hard.
Not just that, but one other thing I wanted to bring up real quick, talking about national parks, is there's a free day in January. And it's January 18th, Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Okay.
So there's a list of free days. I think we've had it on our website before. I'll be sure to refresh that for you. But there's 6 usually every year for national parks. And also, if you are a 4th grader or know a 4th grader, they get a free park pass all year. So
wow.
Yeah, so check that out and take them to a park.
nps.gov, and we'll also post those links on our facebook.com/1030KMAS, also KMAS.com, and the links to all those great topics that we were just talking about with Derek Kilmer. 7:18 here at KMAS. Marilyn Foster has the latest in local news in about 10 minutes or so. The top story is that there is a new chairman for the Mason County Commissioners. During this week's commission meeting Tuesday, Commissioner Netherland turned over the gavel to Commissioner and new chairman Terry Jeffries. Netherland and Commissioner Sheldon voted to give Jeffries the position for 2016. So congratulations to Commissioner Jeffries. I'm sure we'll be talking with her upcoming here on KMAS. 7:19.
And also something that happened in the city, the Shelton City, I believe we used to be a tree city, but you have to keep that up.
So keep doing something with it.
So anyways, they applied again to be a Tree City USA. So the whole commissioners agreed to approve the ordinance. So they just have to do a couple things. The city has to do a couple things, establish a department or a board, to care for all the trees on city property. There's a couple other things that need to be observed, but it's an effort for us to become a tree city. So hopefully that will work, and we'll go forward with that.
Very cool. Very cool. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and talk about some other stories from around the country, around the world, and right around the block on KMAS.
You're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom31.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom31.com. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom31.com.
This is Seattle Mariners broadcaster Dave Sims, and you're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio.
There's got to be a few.
Everybody send in a picture of how you think Jeff's hair should
So
look.
I need to get a haircut. If you've watched the video, if you've joined us on our live stream, you know that it's schlubby. It's so just.
It's funny.
I look like Jerry Jones almost on those football Sundays, only it's not as big. And so I'm looking at what am I going to do with my haircut. Carol says, well, bring a photo in of someone. So I like Justin Timberlake always has great hair. And one, I need to get it styled like that. And two, then I need someone to tell me how to do this on a daily basis. That's the thing. You go to the hair salon, you get yourself all coiffed, and you look like a gazillion bucks. You look mint money. And then you go through the day and people are going, hey, you look great. Then you go to bed and you wake up the next morning and you go, darn it.
Well,
how are you going to get that again?
That's when you find a hairdresser that you like and you trust and you have a rapport with them and they show you how to do this.
I mean, my hairdresser for the last 3 years, I had a great rapport with, and it was me.
Yeah.
And
he didn't show you very good stuff, though.
So that's the one thing, too, is that when I walk in there.
Who was your hairdresser?
Who cut your hair last time? Well, I did, and there goes your tip.
No, I mean, if a hairdresser is willing to talk to you, then you sort of can figure out if you think they're going to be trustworthy or not.
But I'm not going to go and sit in their chair, get the thing over me, talk with them, and then go, this is not going to work.
Yeah, you are.
Really?
I mean, yeah, you're
you
paying
can do
them.
That?
It's just
that puts me out of my comfort zone.
Well, I know, but that's the one funny thing about when you talk about a service that somebody provides, the service provider, if they're good, they want to know what you want. So you actually like them and will tell your friends how great they were and that you'll actually come back.
Did you ever, so you used to do massage.
Yeah.
And did you ever have someone get on the massage table and then you guys start talking and then all of a sudden they go, I'm not feeling this. And they leave? Or
I've never
maybe?
had anybody quite leave, but I try to make sure that they are comfortable or they are wanting it. But I've had people say that I just didn't really like that. Or, I mean, people have a hard time with touch or whatever. And then years later, they may come back in and say and then they really like it. So people go through a weird thing, and it's an intimate thing. You're putting yourself out there for somebody to do something,
sure,
and everybody sees you every day, and it's your hair. So I think it's important to have somebody you trust. Otherwise, you wear a hat for 3 or 4 weeks.
Doing that is just not something that I have ever been comfortable with.
Well, when you get something really yucky at a restaurant, will you not return it?
No.
Well, then how are they going to know it's crap? It's not very good. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, how are people supposed to know?
I get what the thought process is. And the other thing that I need to get over is that somebody's going to actually remember me in 10 minutes after I leave the hair salon.
Well, if they are a good hairdresser, they will remember you.
No, I know, but they don't go. It's not like when you go.
Well, it's not all about you. You're right. The world does not revolve around Jeff Slakey, though it seems like it.
7:25 here, KMAS. Late reminder that the Peninsula Art Association is holding their meeting in the PUD 3 meeting room at the Johns Prairie campus this Saturday at 1:30. That is just half an hour after we start Wild Card Weekend here on KMAS. It's going to be 4 great football games. 1 o'clock on Saturdays when we get things kicked off, and it's going to be Houston and Kansas City. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati is the next game. Then Sunday morning, we got the Seahawks. 8 o'clock is the pregame, 10 o'clock the kickoff. Then another great one, Green Bay at Washington. We've got all the games for you this weekend. And
I think we got a hairdresser calling in for Jeff. So we've been talking about tech all week because it's the big CES down in Vegas.
Some great inventions are being.
There are. And here's an invention that a lot of people don't think are great, but Microsoft, they're slowly killing off Internet Explorer. As you know, we've been moving from Internet Explorer. Then we had Bing, which they're sort of just ignoring.
Well, but Bing wasn't a web
browser.
It was just a website.
No, it was a sort of a web browser. Like Google, you could search and everything through Bing.
Oh.
I mean, they would refer that to you instead of Internet Explorer. It was sort of combined, I guess. But now it's Microsoft Edge. If you have Windows 10, that's basically what will open up. So Internet Explorer is no longer going to be supported. It could be exploited by malware. So
Internet Explorer has always been a junko.
It's always been a junko. And so Tuesday, January 12th is when they will no longer be caring if anything happens.
Really?
To it. Yep. That's Tuesday. Mm-hmm.
Well, I have for years moved to Firefox and slowly have merged a little to Chrome.
Right. Well, okay. So now that's for Internet Explorer 8, 9, and 10. I guess there's an Internet Explorer 11. They will have an update next Tuesday, but they're not going to be long until that one's completely gone also. So Microsoft Edge is what they want everybody to use.
It's the same icon too.
Yeah. Well, see, when they went to Bing, they were trying to get away from Internet Explorer.
Because everybody didn't like it.
Yeah. So now they got Microsoft Edge, which, I don't know.
Interesting.
I haven't used it that much, so I can't really say much about it.
Oh, I am for sure. I don't cheat. That's what Samuel L. Jackson said about Donald Trump, who are golfing buddies. No, I mean, they've played a couple times together.
All right.
And there's this big deal now in Rhapsody magazine. Samuel L. Jackson has been speaking about golfing with Trump. He's in The Hateful Eight, which is out now. And
Donald Trump?
No, he's not in The Hateful Eight.
Or is he? No, I'm just.
Oh, my goodness. That's, of course, so when the Donald heard about Samuel L. saying, "Oh, I am for sure, I don't cheat." That's all the ammunition Trump needed.
Mm-hmm.
Candidate fired back on Twitter, writing, "I don't know," at Samuel L. Jackson, his Twitter, "to be the best of my knowledge, haven't played golf with him and thinks he does too many TV commercials. Boring, not a fan." And I bring it up because yesterday there was a Donald Trump tweets through history.
Yeah.
And if you've ever followed or read any of his tweets, they're really
ridiculous,
funny and ridiculous. And I don't think, do you have any of those up right now? We'll find that link. But anyways, these two are now getting back and forth. Samuel L. Jackson confirmed he knew Trump during an earlier interview with ABC. And pretty funny. That'd be fun. Would you golf with Trump? Would you? Did you play golf?
I have played golf, but I don't know if I would golf with Trump. I'm not in his circle.
Man, I know you're not in his circle, but maybe we can make some phone calls. I would. It would be fun to play with him. It'd be fun to play golf with anybody. Hey, it's just 4 hours of your life. I mean, if you can't get through 4 hours of your life, being cordial with someone.
Well, I'm 3 hours with you.
I know, and it's rough. 7:29 here at KMAS News. Marilyn Foster, that's coming up next. What else is going on this morning? Mark Ziegler from Shelton Parks and Rec will be in.
Yep, talk about something to do locally.
And we'll find out what happened on the day in history. Big night as well for American Idol. It's all coming up on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
You're listening to KMAS News Radio. I'm Marilyn Foster. There's a new chairman for the Mason County Commissioners. During this week's commission meeting on Tuesday, Commissioner Randy Netherland turned over the gavel to new chairman Terry Jeffries. Netherland and Commissioner Tim Sheldon voted to give Jeffries the position for 2016. The city of Shelton is one step closer to becoming a Tree City USA, as the Shelton City Commissioners unanimously approved a tree preservation ordinance Monday night. The Arbor Day Foundation sponsors the Tree City USA program. They say the benefits to becoming a Tree City USA include reducing costs for energy, stormwater management, and erosion control, boosting property values across the community by 7 to 20%, and creating a framework for a healthy, sustainable urban forestry program in the city. Now that the ordinance is passed, there are a few more things the city must do. City Community and Economic Development Director Steve Goins says they need to establish a department or board with the responsibility of care to all trees on city property. Document that at least $2 per capita goes toward planting, care, and removal of city trees and planning efforts to observe Arbor Day. Shelton applied to become a Tree City USA in late 2015. During Transit Talk on Daybreak this week, Mason Transit Director Brad Patterson talked about MTA being named the 2015 Rural Transportation System of the Year.
CTAA, Community Transportation Association of America, is all the rural and small agencies. They've got over 4,000 members around the country. And so, every year they select the best rural transit system in the country. And so for 2015, we were selected. Patterson shared the criteria used by CTAA to determine the recipient of the high honor. A combination of things. You got the cake and you got the topping on the cake, right? The topping on the cake was the Transit Community Center, the first of its kind in the country. Right, and it's really nice. Yeah. It's not been done anywhere. You see transit centers that have businesses in with them, retail businesses or whatever, that help pay the cost of the transit center. You don't see it with a community center. How many transit centers? Tell me, raise your hands. How many transit centers have you seen around the country that have a gym?
Yeah,
have a commercial kitchen and those kinds of things. The rest of it is the history of the agency and all the programs, the innovation that's been done, the level of service. Being fare free or prepaid, however you want to describe it, is certainly not very common at all. Good safety records, to be a countywide system, all the regional connections. So just a combination of all those things.
Learn more about the benefits of mass transit and how MTA serves the community weekly during Transit Talk on Daybreak. You can hear this week's full interview on the Daybreak page at KMAS.com. I'm Mary Lynn Foster, your local news at AM 1030 and FM 103.3 and always on KMAS.com.
I'm attorney Harold Carr. During the past 25 years, more than 8,000 people have trusted me to handle their personal injury cases. I understand how an injury can disrupt your life and cause financial hardship for you and your family. At the law firm of Harold Carr, we have 5 attorneys and 19 staff members experienced with negotiating and litigating with insurance companies. So if you feel the insurance company is not dealing with you fairly, call me, Harold Carr. Let us deal with the insurance company so you won't have to.
Car accident? Call Carr or visit us online at haroldcarrattorney.com.
Yeah, hey, Art, how you doing?
Okay, sir.
I got a quick story. I was in California, and I was basically babysitting my mom's apartment. She had taken a week vacation to Las Vegas, and I was laying on the couch watching TV, and she had a big mirror on the mantle above the fireplace, and I had the sliding glass door shut. There was no wind, and the mirror flew off about 3 or 4 feet, and it scared the heck out of me.
Midnight in the Desert with Art Bell, live weeknights 9 to midnight on KMAS. Well, good morning to you. Daybreak at 7:35 on KMAS. Jeff and Carol here. We'll check the forecast in just a second. But first off, last night on a video cast at KMAS.com, the Shelton High Climbers were looking to snap a 2-game losing streak hosting North Thurston. It was all Shelton in the first half, giving the Rams fits with their 2-3 zone. The High Climbers took advantage on offense. Sharp shooting, taking a 9-point lead into the half. North Thurston picked up their defensive effort, though, in the third, cutting the High Climber lead to 6 heading into the fourth. The Rams took control in the final quarter behind Zach Sibley's aggressive attacking play. Sibley finished with a game-high 17 points as North Thurston knocked off Shelton 58-54. We have a next video cast Friday night at 7 p.m. Sean Wells will be on the calls live from the Mini Dome in high definition, and it's going to be the Lady High Climbers welcoming the Lincoln Abes to town. That'll be at the Mini Dome coming up this Friday night. Ken Griffey Jr. flying high as he was elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame at a near 100%. Just as it was announced, the Space Needle raised his number 24 flag high above the city, and that was pretty cool and what a good honor. What a great honor for Ken Griffey Jr. going in as a Mariner, and boy, he deserves it. Hawks are going to play in Minnesota for Wild Card Weekend. The Wild Card Weekend, though, gets underway Saturday at 1, Kansas City at Houston, then Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Sunday's morning game will be the Hawks at Minnesota. 8 o'clock is our pregame, 10 o'clock the kickoff. Then Green Bay at Washington. We've got all the games for you right here on KMAS. And finally, Old Town Artesians have a game coming up this Saturday night at the Pavilion at Evergreen State College, and it's Youth Soccer Night. All youth soccer players in uniform will be admitted for free and will be invited to join the Artesians on the field during pregame player introductions. 6 o'clock is going to be when we get things underway. The doors open at 5. You can find out more information at oldtownfc.com. 7:36 here, and Carol Gardner's got a look at the forecast.
Right now it's 36. Feels like 33.
You're right, it does.
Foggy outside. If you're driving around, be careful. Be aware. It's going to turn into partly some clouds this afternoon, and we're going to have some sunshine, but it's going to only be about a high of 42. Tonight it's going to still be cloudy, low 32. And tomorrow through the weekend is going to be continuing partly cloudy, daytime in the low 40s, and overnight lows are going to be, or overnights are going to be in the low to mid 30s. There's no rain forecasted. It's just going to be cold, partly cloudy, clear. and it's 36 right now.
It's Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio. Join the guys as they talk with neighbors, newsmakers, and each other, getting your day off to the absolute best possible start in the history of mornings. Connect with Jeff and Dale through the KMAS listener line, by email, or Facebook. Now, from the capital of the great state of Washington, Daybreak with Jeff and Dale.
Well, good morning, 7:38 here at KMAS. Mark Ziegler coming in about an hour so we can focus on Shelton. Tomorrow, we'll talk more about the city as we get a chance to meet and talk with City Commissioner Kathy McDowell at 7:15, Shelton School District Superintendent Dr. Alex Apostle at 8:15, and Drew McEwen coming on the air at 8:45 tomorrow to give us a legislative preview. Session gets underway on Monday, and we have just gotten most of the finalizations on our legislative conversations with the 35th District, and I think we'll again have all the guys on and talking with them about things that are happening in the state during the session. KMAS.com has information on a workshop coming up. Is that right, Carol?
That's right. It's in our environmental link, and it's a composting workshop. You can learn how to create your own compost and then what to do with compost once you have it. The WSU Master Gardeners will have their gardening workshop that they have every year, and this one's called Healthy Soil Through Composting. That's the name of the workshop. It's going to be this Saturday at Memorial Hall, and it's the first of 6 scheduled and sponsored Washington State University programs. It's just $5 at the door, and the proceeds go to the Master Gardener so they can keep bringing you these wonderful programs. And we have a flyer on our website, and it lists all the workshops that are coming up, like all-season gardening, water-wise gardening, fruit tree, creative ways to grow, tomatoes, everybody loves that, unusual vegetables, and herbs for cooking, healing, and beauty. So there you go. It's they have it through the Garden Gate. Their session of classes, they have workshops that they have every year, and it's a lot of fun, and they got so much knowledge, these people. I mean, it's so amazing. You just are like, oh. I mean, I had no problem until I became a Master Gardener, and then I'm like, oh.
You were a Master Gardener.
I am still considered a Master Gardener,
Master Gardener in good standing.
Yes, in good standing. But I mean, I was oblivious to. I mean, I've always loved plants and outdoor plants, but it's just fun to gain the knowledge on why plants are doing what they're doing and how you can make things better, and it's a lot of fun, I think.
So this Saturday, we had talked about learning about composting, Stephanie and I, because then you look into it and you're like, oh, great. So then it's just like food waste. Oh, well, but it's not just food waste, and there's a lot of restrictions. And we were close to, I had figured out, I saw online how you can build a compost bin for you take one of those big tubs,
right,
and you just drill a ton of holes in it. That's basically all you have to do. And so we had thought about doing that. And then we were looking at what you could put in, what you couldn't put in, and it was starting to get really complicated really fast.
Right, and it's not really that complicated. It seems really complicated.
Right.
I mean, you obviously don't want meat or fat products in it.
Well, see, that was the big thing. That was the big revelation to me. Okay. I didn't know that you couldn't put... See, I thought it was all scraps, food scraps. So we're saying, oh, we've got all this wasted food. Kaiser's not eating his dinner. Daddy's not giving him proper lunch, so he doesn't eat his dinner because he's snacking all day. And so then what do we do with this leftover food? We're like, well, can we compost it? And then so then I get online and it says no meat or whatever, fats, and I go, well, that's half the stuff we were doing anyways.
But you'd be surprised how much waste, vegetable waste and that type of waste that you go through. I mean, once you get into it and you get a system down, then it's fine. And then when you see the results, it's awesome. I used to live sort of out in the country in a different spot, and I had like a spot that I would do all my composting. It was pretty unscientific, but I'd go load it up with whatever, and then I'd add the green, the brown, whatever, compost materials. And then one day I went out there and dug up underneath it, and I couldn't believe the soil.
Black gold.
It was. I was just like, yes.
Really?
Yeah. It was like a year or so.
Wow.
I was doing a very slow one. There's faster ways of doing it. So really, you should go to this class this Saturday and check it out, because they have some really good ideas. Depending on you don't want to put all that extra stuff out there, because you don't want a bunch of like rats or raccoons coming.
Yeah, and I had never even thought about those kind of things.
You got to be careful about that
Stephanie's
too.
working overtime this Saturday, exactly at those times. So unfortunately, I can't make it.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
Those other ones, though, look great. Water-wise gardening. One of the things that I did last year is I built her a raised garden bed for Mother's Day or whatever. And I installed a drip irrigation system. And my goodness,
it's nice,
was
isn't it?
It was probably the best thing I'd ever done. The amount of water not wasted. I mean, I put little drip markers in each of the plants, and they all had their own little drip system. And even in the backyard, I did it. And wow, for a minimal, looking at the big picture, a minimal investment in both time and money, and then you get a timer, you set it and forget it. Oh, when I found a timer at Goodwill, a garden timer at Goodwill, and it was like the best day of my life. Put the batteries in, says I want it to run 2 hours or 1 hour in the middle of the night during the summer. Drip system, great. What day is that? February 6th?
February 6th. And this is on our website. You can find that out. It's underneath the environmental tab.
We will be jumping in the Hood Canal on February 6th at the Alderbrook Resort.
Oh, yeah, I guess we will.
That's going to be a fun event. We would love to see you out. And Carol's going to be jumping for the first time.
I am going to be jumping the first time into the Hood Canal for the polar bear plunge. But I have done some polar bear days before. It's not that I haven't done it. I just haven't done it here.
No, yeah. You've always had other things working.
Well, you know, Dell will be out there also. So
No, it's a great time at the Alderbrook. It helps out Mason County Emergency Services. And there's raffles and prizes. And there's food and hot cocoa and coffee and things like that as well. Got music playing throughout the day. And it's different in the sense that you walk out on the Alderbrook dock there, and you hop in and you hop out, and it's cold, but it is fun, a fun day.
All right,
look forward
can't
to
wait.
The 6th. 7:45 here at KMAS, KMAS.com. We'll take a break here, and when we come back, we'll look at some other news notes from around the Northwest. The Marine Corps also is changing some of its job titles to be gender neutral. This comes from USA Today. Yes, last night. We'll talk about that right here on Daybreak, coming up next.
You're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio. Taylor Shellfish is a proud sponsor of the Environmentally Sound program. For 5 generations, the Taylor family's been stewards of a healthy and prosperous Puget Sound. In partnership with nature, Taylor Shellfish brings you the freshest, most sustainable shellfish you'll ever eat. Visit their store at 136 Southeast Lynch Road. Open daily from 10 to 6, and they're online at TaylorShellfishFarms.com.
It's January, time to warm your cockles. What? Warm your cockles. By the fire, Saturday nights in January, the Lucky Dog Casino giving you a chance to win a recliner, fire pit, or decorative fireplace. Free bingo on Wednesdays from 1 till 5. And watch the Seahawks playoffs in the Event Center. At the North Fork Grill, $9.99, steak and crab legs on Fridays, and prime rib Saturdays. Come on, get lucky. Minutes north of Shelton on Highway 101, the Lucky Dog Casino.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom31.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom31.com. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom31.com.
Hi, Tom Hartman here. Join me 9 to noon on News Radio 1030 KMAS. This is not an election cycle where middle-of-the-road Democrats are going to stir up enough of the base and enough excitement and enthusiasm that they're going to seriously win elections. And that's the thing that Republicans have figured out, Democrats have yet to learn, which is that elections are not about swaying so-called undecided voters. They're about stirring up the base. The base will bring the undecided voters along with them. They'll do it through social media. They'll do it through talking to their neighbors. They'll do it by talking to people in the workplace. But you've got to energize the base.
Tune in all season long to NFL Preview right here on Westwood One. Hi, this is Boomer Esiason. Join me and Scott Graham. We preview the entire NFL schedule. We'll break down each matchup and tell you what to watch out for so you can be ready for all the NFL action. If you want the most comprehensive look inside the National Football League, then you need to tune into NFL Preview right here.
7:30 Sunday morning on AM 1030, FM 103.3, KMAS News Radio.
Hi, this is Justin Holsgrove from PUD3, and you're listening to Jeff and Dale on Daybreak, 1030 KMAS.
7:49 on a Thursday morning. Already the 7th of January.
It's flying by.
Flying by. This week is flying by. Tomorrow's Friday. Got some great guests coming up. Still Mark Ziegler coming in. Shelton Parks and Rec. Focusing on Shelton in about an hour from right now. I talked about earlier how I'm retiring with my King Griffith Jr. baseball cards that are worth $1 gazillion now.
That's right.
But Carol may beat me on this.
Well, not yet. So the largest jackpot in U.S. history was up for grabs last night.
Right.
And nobody won. And that was $450 million. Now, or $524 million. I mean, it just keeps going up.
So it was 450. That's what everybody said, 450. And it ended up being
524 last night if you would have won it. Wow. Now it's at an estimated $675 million.
I mean, so then let's just assume let's assume you win. It was at 450, but it really rang out at 524. So that's 75 million more than expected. So you're telling me, potentially this next one could be at $750 million. I mean, if we're just kind of guessing.
675.
Well, I know that, but that's kind of what they're estimating.
Oh, you mean, as the night. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
750.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's $750 million.
And I hope you weren't one of those people that always use your same numbers and then you were sick. You couldn't make it to the Powerball ticket place and your numbers were 47, 2, 63, 62, and 11. And you're like, those are my numbers.
I know I missed it.
Those are my numbers. That's why I don't pick numbers, because what if you don't go that one time and do it and then it wins?
That's how they get you.
I know.
I know. Are you going to play? Do you play these things? Games of chance?
I always say I'm going to.
Are they even games of chance?
And then I never make. Last night I'm like, I forgot. And it's like, I guess it was my priority. I would have been there, and got it. But, maybe I'll go do now.
If you want to, you can just give me some money and I will go buy the tickets for you.
How do I know you're going to give me the correct one?
How do I know that I wouldn't?
Now, what do you think about sharing a ticket?
So you're saying Team KMAS here.
Yeah.
Everybody chips in a certain amount, and then if you win, then you split that amount.
Right.
I would say yay to this, only on the understanding that if you did not pay in, that you're not going to get anything out of it.
Well, that would be obvious, but it has happened in some businesses that I've read about in the past, that like one or two people are like, and then their office wins millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, I'd hate to be that person that
I would hate to be that person too.
Or the person who was sick that day. Oh, we're gathering the money on Thursday for the Powerball.
Right.
And then this person's not there on Thursday.
Right.
They miss it or whatever.
That's a really group is hard.
It'd have to be 100% or nothing.
Yeah.
Because then automatically you've got factions built in.
Right.
I mean, automatically every one of your coworkers but you is a multi-millionaire.
Yeah,
and now you're sitting here looking at them.
I guess I'm coming to work tomorrow.
You're eating your top ramen cup of noodle, and the other person comes, oh man, you got to try this caviar that I just bought.
Yeah,
Something
exactly.
like that.
My brand new car.
If it's not 100%, or if I don't have to deal with the people every day, then I'd say yay.
Right.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
I know. I don't know.
I don't know if I'd even want that much money. I mean, everything you hear, sure, I'll take it. But everything you hear that people win these jackpots, and then their lives are just
I know, but you have to. It's just like, I mean, you have to set it up. That I mean, I would if I won, I wouldn't tell anybody for one thing.
You tell me.
Well, maybe you, but I wouldn't tell a lot of people. I would tell probably my immediate family and give them whatever.
Sure.
And then I would probably hire an accountant or whatever, a financial manager to help me figure out what to do with all the money and where to put it, how to, best use it.
Would you still work?
I would work at something. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day and they're like, these people that are janitors or whatever, they're like, well, money's not going to change me. I'm still gonna be doing my job. So my number one question is then why buy a lottery ticket in the first place?
It's a great question.
Why even buy one if it's not going to change you?
If you're so happy and everything seems to be so copacetic.
Plus, now you're a millionaire and you're taking a job space that somebody else could have. That one of those office coworkers that did not buy the lottery ticket.
Who needs a second job?
Who needs a second job? I mean, come on.
Interesting. I never thought about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I guess I think about that too much.
7:54 here at KMAS. The Old Farmer's Almanac coming up in about 3 minutes. Tomorrow on KMAS Daybreak, we got some great interviews for you, including the new city commissioner for the city of Shelton, Finance and Accounting, Kathy McDowell, 7:15. Dr. Alex Apostle will rejoin us for the first conversation of the new year, talking about Graduation Matters Shelton, which is coming up soon at the Civic Center. And also 35th District Representative Drew McEwen will be in to give us a preview of the session, and likely to be a straight-up 60-day session. Not a big budget year, so that's good. Plus, it's in a major election year. President all the way down to dog catcher. People are running, and these elected officials need to get out there and press the flesh. Can't do it while they're in session. So that's what's going to go on there. An audit revealed that SeaTax Airport contracted cab service owes the Port of Seattle hundreds of thousands of dollars after the company allegedly underreported fares, trips to and from the airport. This is kind of a strange story. The Seattle PI reports the audit says officials with both the port and Puget Sound Dispatch failed to monitor the contract that gave the cab company access to airport passengers. Just another thing that slips through the cracks.
That's right. It is. And one way to keep up with some stuff is our public notice page, where I try to put press releases that city and county government send out, or PUDs or whatever. There's an emergency county road load restriction, and that started actually yesterday. And it's emergency load restrictions on the Bear Creek Dewatto Road, and it's from milepost 8.447 about Tahuya Blacksmith Road to the Dewatto Holly Road. And it's applicable to vehicles with blah, blah, blah. So if you think that you have a too heavy of a load, tubeless tires, size 7 and up, then check the public notice page. I mean, there's probably signs out there, I imagine. These are just extra ways for people to know what is going on. The tab is under our news link under our, and it's called public notices. And we also have some information about the port meetings, what's happening if you want to go to them. Notices of special elections, just all sorts of things on the public notice page that you can find out.
So this is kind of where the government entities send us information that they need to pass on.
Yeah, and I just plop them up here.
Great.
And then did we talk about some of the library stuff that was going on? We were talking about a library thing.
Yeah, I was talking about the library, the fact that they've got an adult winter reading getaway contest going on now through March 15th, where if you read or listen to 5 books and you fill out your forms on trl.org, you could win some prizes, and there's grand prizes, local prizes per library. So you can get in there and start reading.
Right. And then the library is a great source of all sorts of things. So the Lacey Library, I mean, each library, they do national things and then they do local things.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lacey Library has a quit smoking help. That's this Saturday. And then they have a saving money class at the end of January. So check out they're all free to the public. So it's good to go. That's on our public notice page as well.
TRL.org is the library's website, 8 o'clock.
You're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio.
Get ready. It's time to tee it up with Keith Jones.
If we really want to talk about, where you want to have, short-term, long-term improvement, it's that 6-inch fairway that Bobby Jones said is the most important fairway of golf. And that's the fairway between your ears and the expectations that people have coming into the new season and really what they would like to accomplish.
Tee it up with Keith Jones.
All right. Tune in all season long to NFL Insider on Westwood One. Hi, this is Mark Malone. Join me each week as we whip around the league and break down the NFL. We'll hear from today's stars and yesterday's heroes as James Lofton sits down with a fellow member of the Hall of Fame. We'll also check in with former greats Rod Woodson and Donovan McNabb to help us break down all the latest NFL news. That's NFL Insider right here.
Sunday morning at 6:30 on KMAS.
The horns of the crescent moon will be pointing upward this week. We'll tell you what it means on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Thursday, January 7th, the 7th day of the year. Singer Kenny Loggins has a birthday, and one of Hollywood's most enduring marriages began on this day 90 years ago when Gracie Allen married George Burns. One of the most intriguing sights in the winter sky is the upturned horns of the crescent moon. Watch for it in the pre-dawn hours tomorrow before it disappears in the glare of the sun. The moon returns early next week, and its waxing crescent phase, best viewed in the early evening. It's sometimes called a wet moon because the bottom edge is illuminated. Old-time lore said it would fill up with rain like a bowl. As the year progresses, the crescent will tip on its edge, pouring water on the earth. That's the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Learn more about the moon phases online at almanac.com.
Mornings start with Daybreak on KMAS Shelton. Join Jeff and Dale weekdays from 6 to 9 on AM 1030, FM 1033, and KMAS.com.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. The Dow dropped more than 300 points at the open as investor angst over China's second halt in trading this week circled the globe. China's circuit breakers were triggered by a 7% plunge in Shanghai's index after just 30 minutes of trading. Wunderlich Securities chief market strategist Art Hogan says the brakes are backfiring.
Hurts our market more than it helps. Now, the circuit breakers are put in so that you can step back and cooler minds can prevail and see, if in fact the punishment fits the crime. Unfortunately, when they get triggered in the first half hour of the day, it's impossible to say that there's a positive there. And what you don't get is natural price discovery.
The Chinese won't use them tomorrow. Your personal stock could rise exponentially this weekend if you can pick the winning numbers in the Powerball lottery. There was no winner in last night's drawing, raising the jackpot to at least $675 million. 17 miners trapped overnight, 75 stories underground in a New York salt mine were safely rescued, 2 at a time, by work crews using a crane. Eggs are off the naughty list in the government's latest dietary guidelines. Some lean meats are back on the nice list as well, but the new rules focus on stricter limits on processed sugar, saturated fat, and salt. ABC News Medical Unit Managing Editor Dan Childs has the big picture.
No matter what foods you happen to be getting, making sure that you're assembling those into a diet that's lower in saturated fat, lower in added sugars, keeps dietary cholesterol in check, even though that limit, that hard limit doesn't exist anymore. They're really trying to get people to think about, how can I adjust my diet in such a way that it makes it overall healthier?
Michael Jackson's Off the Wall is being reissued with a new Spike Lee documentary about it. Audi is introducing a new feature to keep you cool in the heat of road rage. Using fitness monitors and vehicle sensors, it checks heart and breathing rates, and when it detects a mood change, lowers the cabin temperature or starts a soothing seat massage. This is ABC News.
What would an extra $250 a month mean to you? For some, it's a little financial breathing room. For others, it's a car payment, a home repair, or help with college tuition. Hi, I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans, and I've got some great news if you're looking to save money on your mortgage. All it takes is a simple phone call to Quicken Loans at 800-QUICKEN to see if you qualify for the government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. Folks who refinance with HARP can save an average of $250 a month. That's $3,000 a year. Our home loan experts fully understand the HARP guidelines, and they'll walk you through our streamlined process. And for 6 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction. And for the second year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN or visit QuickenLoans.com.
Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
North Korea's claim of testing a hydrogen bomb is being met with widespread skepticism. Vice President Joe Biden is weighing in on the best way to deal with the reclusive nation. More from ABC's Lana Zock.
Many military experts believe these are inflated claims of grandeur by North Korea and not likely a hydrogen bomb. But it will still carry consequences, Vice President Biden said to ABC's WPVI.
We will continue to work, believe it or not, with the Chinese and the international community to continue to bring international pressure on North Korea.
Even if it is a lesser bomb, it is still believed to be the fourth time since 2006 that North Korea has tested a nuclear device. Lana Zak, ABC News, Washington.
Vin Diesel fought back tears as he accepted the People's Choice Awards for Favorite Movie and Favorite Action Movie for Furious 7. Invoking the memory of late co-star Paul Walker, he said, "When we didn't want to come back to film, when the tragedy was too heavy, it was the love of everyone combined that saw us through." Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
You're listening to KMAS News Radio. I'm Marilyn Foster. There's a new chairman for the Mason County Commissioners. During this week's commission meeting on Tuesday, Commissioner Randy Netherland turned over the gavel to new chairman Terry Jeffries. Netherland and Commissioner Tim Sheldon voted to give Jeffries the position for 2016. The city of Shelton is one step closer to becoming a Tree City USA, as the Shelton City Commissioners unanimously approved a tree preservation ordinance Monday night. The Arbor Day Foundation sponsors the Tree City USA program. They say the benefits to becoming a Tree City USA include reducing costs for energy, stormwater management, and erosion control, boosting property values across the community by 7 to 20%, and creating a framework for a healthy, sustainable urban forestry program in the city. Now that the ordinance is passed, there are a few more things the city must do. City Community and Economic Development Director Steve Goins says they need to establish a department or board with the responsibility of care to all trees on city property. Document that at least $2 per capita goes toward planting, care, and removal of city trees and planning efforts to observe Arbor Day. Shelton applied to become a Tree City USA in late 2015. During Transit Talk on Daybreak this week, Mason Transit Director Brad Patterson talked about MTA being named the 2015 Rural Transportation System of the Year.
CTAA, Community Transportation Association of America, is all the rural and small agencies. They've got over 4,000 members around the country. And so, every year they select the best rural transit system in the country. And so for 2015, we were selected. Patterson shared the criteria used by CTAA to determine the recipient of the high honor. A combination of things. You got the cake and you got the topping on the cake, right? The topping on the cake was the Transit Community Center, the first of its kind in the country.
Right, and it's really nice.
Yeah. It's not been done anywhere. You see transit centers that have businesses in with them, retail business or whatever, that help pay the cost of the transit center. You don't see it with a community center. How many transit centers, tell me, raise your hands, how many transit centers have you seen around the country that have a gym? Yeah. Have a commercial kitchen and those kinds of things. The rest of it is the history of the agency and all the programs, the innovation that's been done, the level of service. Being fare free or prepaid, however you want to describe it, is certainly not very common at all. Good safety records, to be a countywide system, all the regional connections. So just a combination of all those things.
Learn more about the benefits of mass transit and how MTA serves the community weekly during Transit Talk on Daybreak. You can hear this week's full interview on the Daybreak page at KMAS.com. I'm Mary Lynn Foster, your local news at AM 1030 and FM 103.3, and always on KMAS.com.
Hi, Tom Hartman here. Join me 9 to noon on Newsradio 1030 KMAS. But the policies of Christianity that were defined by Jesus, not necessarily by Paul or some of the other followers, and certainly not by Jerry Falwell, but the policies defined by Jesus that you can read in the Sermon on the Mount or you can read in Matthew 25 are unabashedly progressive. They're unabashedly liberal. I mean, Jesus was the original liberal.
Is your family doing some growing? Whether it's an expansion of your home or the addition of a new family car, Peninsula Credit Union can provide fast, friendly service with terrific rates. We offer personal lines of credit, affordable auto loans, and a variety of home loan options to get you moving. Visit our offices in Shelton, Belfair, Paulsbo, Port Orchard, and Port Townsend, or go online to pcfcu.org. At Peninsula Credit Union, our priority is you.
Junior and Piazza are Hull-bound. Spurs and Cavs are winners. Hi, everybody. Todd Ant reporting on sports. Cap on backwards, disarming smile, and one of the quickest bats in the game. Ken Griffey Jr. is heading to the Baseball Hall of Fame on July 24th.
I knew I could play baseball. It was just the adjustment of getting to know people and growing.
Junior hit 630 home runs and was one of the best center fielders of all time. And he goes in record fashion with 99.3% of the vote, ESPN's baseball analyst Tim Kirkjian.
It should have been unanimous because he's certainly one of the greatest players that most of us have ever seen.
Mike Piazza, a 12-time All-Star with 427 home runs and a record 396 as a catcher going into the Hall.
Been so honored to have met many Hall of Famers, obviously been instructed by many throughout my career, and they express how special it is.
Jeff Bagwell fell 15 votes shy. Tim Raines missed by 23. NBA, San Antonio remains undefeated at home.
Pass comes out to Dial. Right wing Ginobili will fire a three, and that's a Manu Tres. 14 points off the bench for Manu Ginobili.
On WOAL, Spurs improved to 21-0 at home, 31-6 overall, and a 123-98 pounding of the Jazz. LeBron James and Kyrie Irving combined for 66 points.
Irving, he'll uncork a three. He'll knock it down. Irving slightly right of center. He now has 32 points.
On WTAM, the Cavaliers make it 5 in a row with a 121-115 win over the Wizards in Washington. LBJ had 34. The Clippers have won 7 in a row, winning in Portland 109-98. To the NFL, the Buccaneers are looking for a new head coach after firing Lovie Smith. ESPN NFL analyst Herm Edwards says why.
This is a head-scratcher. There's no doubt about it. You watch this football team progress. And for Lovie Smith, I know he's got to be a little bit surprised as well.
Saints coach Sean Payton says he's staying with New Orleans. College basketball top 25 all winners, including Maryland, Xavier, and Villanova. And the top-ranked UConn women beat Tulsa by 60 points. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
8:10 and good morning to you. It's Daybreak at KMAS. Jeff and Carol looking at sports, checking the weather here, having some great conversations. Yesterday we found out that Ken Griffey Jr., the kid, number 24, moving on to Cooperstown. Almost unanimous, Carol. 3 people didn't vote.
3 people.
3 people didn't vote for him. Here is Griffey Jr. on ESPN Radio's Mike and Mike.
It's none of my concern, and you know, they have their own opinion. You know, I'm just thankful for the guys who did vote for me. I think, you know, let's talk about them more.
That's a great attitude to have there. He's talking about the 3 folks that did not vote for him. Almost 100%. Very close. Pretty cool stuff. The other one, we just played that one. The other guy that went in, Mike Piazza, voted into the Hall of Fame. And ESPN MLB insider Buster Olney says Piazza's election may impact future votes on players who have been linked to performance-enhancing drugs.
Now that he's in the Hall of Fame, am I going to be more comfortable voting for a Jeff Bagwell, for a Barry Bonds, for a Roger Clemens? We'll see if the context, the votes change along with the context.
interesting to see, and there's a couple years left. Another Mariner who is on the rolls, but the rule changes went from 15 years of eligibility down to 10, and I believe Edgar Martinez is now sitting right at the 7-year mark, so he's got a couple more years to try to make the case that the greatest designated hitter of all time, the guy who pretty much made designated hitters who they are, should be in the Hall of Fame. So he's got a couple more years to, obviously he's already swayed me, so if I'm voting him, I'm not a voter, though, in that situation. Shelton High Climbers were on KMAS.com last night. They were looking to snap a 2-game losing streak, hosting North Thurston at the Mini Dome. It was all Shelton in the first half, giving the Rams fits with their 2-3 zone. The final score, North Thurston knocked off Shelton 58-54. Sean Wells on the calls last night. You can rewatch the game on KMAS.com. Our next video cast Friday night at 7. Sean will be again at the Mini Dome, live in high definition, as the Lady High Climbers welcome the Lincoln Abes to town. This weekend also brings us wild card football coverage. We've got all 4 games for you this weekend on KMAS. Saturday games, the coverage starts at 1. Kansas City at Houston, then Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Sunday, all eyes point to the NFC as the morning game is the Seahawks in Minnesota. We start our pregame at 8 and the kickoff just at 10. After that, Green Bay at Washington. We'll have all the games for you here on AM 1030 and FM 1033. 8:13 now. Looking at the forecast, here's Carol.
Well, right now it's about 36, and some places it's a little cooler, but feels like 33, even though it says it's 36. Hard to say why. There's no wind or anything. Maybe it's just that damp feeling that you get. I don't know. But there's some fog in places. Dale just drove in from 101 coming into Shelton, and he said it was a beautiful drive. No fog for him. There will be clouds throughout the day, and the high will be 42. It's going to continue that way through the evening with partly clouds, drop into a low of 32. And then tomorrow through the weekend and continuing with the partly cloudy days and nights, daytime temps are going to stay in the low 40s and overnight temps are going to stay in the low to mid 30s. And there's no rain until early next week. It's 36.
It's Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio. Join the guys as they talk with neighbors, newsmakers, and each other, getting your day off to the absolute best possible start in the history of mornings. Connect with Jeff and Dale through the KMAS listener line, by email or Facebook. Now from the shores of Hood Canal, Daybreak with Jeff and Dale.
All right, good morning to you. It's 8:15, Daybreak. And looking out the window, day has finally broken. Some stories from around the Associated Press. The Pentagon says a veteran Green Beret in the Washington National Guard has been killed in action in Afghanistan. Staff Sergeant Matthew McClintock of Des Moines was on his 3rd combat tour when he was killed Tuesday in the southern Afghanistan's Helmand province. McClintock joined the National Guard in 2014 after several years as an active duty soldier, and the governor has called McClintock a true American hero.
The new owner of a Grays Harbor biodiesel facility says it's not going to handle any crude oil as it pursues an expansion project. It's one of the 3 terminals proposed at the Port of Grays Harbor to bring crude oil by train from the Bakken region of North Dakota and Montana. Iowa-based Renewable Energy Group told local and state regulators it wants to extend capacity to handle bulk liquids, but crude oil won't be in the mix.
Looks like old Bubba's coming to town. Former President Bill Clinton scheduled to visit Seattle to fundraise for Hillary's presidential campaign. He is expected to attend a reception tomorrow afternoon for the Democratic frontrunner at Century Ballroom on Capitol Hill. Closed to the media, though, Carol, former president recently started campaigning on his wife's behalf this week. And it is an election year coming up, so not this upcoming Tuesday, but a year from this upcoming Tuesday, we'll have a different person for the first time in 8 years doing the State of the Union. Next Tuesday, Obama will deliver his final State of the Union address. The White House says don't expect a laundry list of legislative goals. He's kind of realized that ship has sailed. But ABC's Karen Travers does have some of the details.
This speech could be considered the kickoff to a long farewell to the Obama presidency. In a new video, Mr. Obama previewed what he'll focus on.
Not just the remarkable progress we've made, not just what I want to get done in the year ahead, but what we all need to do together in the years to come.
Those broad themes are a way for President Obama to lay out a blueprint for a message and agenda for the Democrats this election season. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
We will have the State of the Union for you coming up this Tuesday, and the Republican rebuttal this year, it was South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley was tapped to do the response to the State of the Union. We remember last year, it was Kathy McMorris Rogers from here, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Year before that was the new Iowa Senator Joni Ernst, and before that is current presidential candidate Marco Rubio. So some great speakers on the Republican side doing the rebuttal for the State of the Union. That's coming up this next Tuesday, and you'll be able to hear it right here on KMAS. 8:18 rather here at KMAS. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll look at some other stories from around the region on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio.
If you're first to arrive at the scene of an accident, PUD number 3 reminds you to pull over and put on your emergency flasher to help warn oncoming traffic. Check the condition of the victims, and in most cases, it's not wise to try to move them. A safe driving reminder from PUD number 3.
Hold onto your steering wheel firmly during the winter driving season. Castle and Coleman Logging says don't attempt large turns. A light touch should be used to correct swerves. Castle and Coleman Logging reminds you that safe winter driving requires extra attention and extra care.
I feel right at home on JohnLScott.com.
Hi, this is Dawn Pinnell from John L. Scott Real Estate here in Shelton. For a while now, I have been saying welcome home and sharing with you some great listings and some hopefully educational and interesting items of riveting radio real estate topics. We're moving our time slot to Friday at 8:55, right at the end of the morning show with Jeff and Dale. I hope you will continue to listen and that you will contact me with any of your real estate needs. I would love to help you say, I'm home.
Hi, this is Dick Taylor from the Port of Shelton, and you're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS Radio.
Well, good morning to you. Good to talk to Dick Taylor yesterday during Port of Call on KMAS Wednesdays at 8:45. Dick Taylor, the Port of Shelton Commission Chair and Executive Director John Dobson stopped by weekly to talk about things that are going on, and they've had great years, year after year, and 2016 looks to be just as good.
Yeah, it looks great. We're going to go out to tour around on the property owned by the port one of these days, and we'll have that on our website and talk about that. That'll happen in the next couple weeks. See what's going on out there with all their holdings that they got.
So yesterday, this is interesting now that I'm thinking about this. I'm looking at our Twitter page, twitter.com, and at 1030 KMAS is our Twitter handle. Is that what they call it?
Yes. I don't know.
The WSDOT traffic Twitter account, WSDOT_traffic. I don't know who has been their Twitter person, but they've kind of been funny and pithy at times and have added interesting graphics. Like when Star Wars came out, they added Yoda ears to the logo. So they changed their deal the other day, and it has a 24 on it. And not until this moment that I'm talking to you right now did I not realize that it was for Griffey and not Marshawn Lynch. We are in the middle of quite a conundrum.
It is quite a conundrum.
Because we have, baseball fans know and remember that Griff was 24. But come on, that was a while ago.
It was a while ago.
And Marshawn now 24.
Yeah.
And I just realized that that's why it's for Griffey.
Mm-hmm.
And a huge 24 flag flown at the top of the Space Needle after the announcement yesterday. Near perfect record. That's pretty darn
It is pretty good, except for those 3 people, which Griffey says he doesn't care about. I, on the other hand, being
brush
the
it
fan,
off, right? Is that what you're supposed to do?
I don't brush it off. I want to find who those 3 people are. No, I mean,
why would you do that?
Yeah,
you ruined it for us.
Well, they had a childhood hero, and they had
and it wasn't Griffey.
And it wasn't Griffey. I mean, I guess that happens.
Their childhood. I was watching one of those talking head shows for sports yesterday, and they were talking about if it's just a kind of a popularity contest, or if some of the voters, the Baseball Writers Association, Bob Ryan was the guy on Around the Horn yesterday, and he talks that he is a member in good standing and votes for these things, and it's not a popularity contest. But at some level, they were mentioning names like Sammy Sosa, and there has never been any kind of real link to him and steroids. There's always those allegations. But if baseball had never banned any of these guys, then should they be kept out of the hall?
Yeah.
Those are just some of the questions that were asked. And opening new doors with the Piazza induction of the Hall of Fame. Because he was kind of around that time. Never any question that Griff was clean all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
What a great player.
I know, what a great player.
8:23 here at KMAS and KMAS.com.
Jeff, I'm looking at a thing that the New York Times put out, 52 great places to visit in the world. And one thing that totally caught my eye is they have this picture of, I'm guessing it's Mexico City, Metropolis. Is that what you're getting?
I would say that is London, actually.
That's what I thought, but then they have Mexico City listed. So
New York Times makes great web content.
But what my point is, that has to be a drone that is taking the picture. And you wouldn't even be getting this a few years ago. I mean, it just lifts up and over and flies. And it's just this great, beautiful picture of the city.
One of my new shows that I watch all the time on History Channel is one called The Curse of Oak Island. And it's about this island in Nova Scotia that supposedly has all this treasure buried, and people for 200 years have been trying to find it. And it's only been on for 3 seasons. Mm-hmm. But if you go back to the first one, and now the production value added to these drones, the footage that they can gather and show, it's just vistas that you never even imagined. And it's the most beautiful thing. Hopefully this upcoming February 6th for the Polar Bear Plunge, not only will we have heads up cameras for a little first person action going on,
right,
but in years past we've seen drones and drone footage as well. So hopefully we can get some great shots of Carol jumping in the water and Dale and I waving to her as she does.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not jumping.
Yeah, that's going to
be a great time at the Alderbrook Resort and Spa, helping out Mason County Emergency Services. 8:25 here at KMAS. We'll check the morning stock numbers shortly. Another rocky start to Wall Street, it looked like. We'll get the numbers here shortly from Karen Shade of Edward Jones on Olympic Highway South. But again, China starting the day off down, and they've got some new things going on in their computer systems that automatically turn off the trading.
Yeah, I was sort of looking at that. So they do it on purpose, just to turn it off in case something's happening.
If you're talking about the free market and letting things happen,
obviously it's not free.
It's not 100%. Maybe we have it totally wrong. Let's find out. From Edward Jones.
You have Karen today.
Hi, Karen. How are you doing?
I am better. Thank you very much.
Starting to sound a little better.
I am a little bit. It's just that nasty cold. It's hard to take it.
For sure. Well, then let's get through this report so you can have some more honey water or whatever you drink to help your voice.
Yes. Okay, dokie. Well, U.S. stocks are trading lower as market volatility in China and falling oil prices continues to concern investors. And domestic economic news, fewer Americans filed applications for unemployment benefits last week, a sign that the U.S. labor market remained robust entering 2016. Investors now look forward to the government's closely watched monthly employment report due for release tomorrow. U.S. bond prices are trending lower. So far this morning in the S&P 500, the best performing sector is energy, while the worst performing sector is financials. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 130 points at 16,776. The Standard & Poor's 500 index is down 17 points at 1,972. And the NASDAQ Composite Index is down 58 points at 4,777. This morning, volume on the New York Stock Exchange is high, with about 275 million shares being traded, and decliners are outnumbering advancers by a roughly 6-to-1 margin. In the commodity markets, the spot price of gold is at $10.18 to $1,103.86. The spot price of silver is up 17 cents to $14.17, and crude oil prices are up 5 cents. $34.02. In the bond markets, the 30-year Treasury yield is currently 2.97%, and the 10-year Treasury yield is 2.19%. Stocks of local interest: Amazon is down $7.80, Costco is down $2.21, Boeing is down $3.29, Starbucks is down 30 cents, and Microsoft is down $1.13. This is Karen Shade of Everett Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term financial advice. I'm located at 1051 Southeast State Route 3 in Shelton, and if you'd like additional information, you can contact me at 426-4590, and daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com. Have a great Thursday, everyone.
Thanks, Karen. We'll talk to you next time. It is 8:28 here at KMAS. We're going to get to Marilyn Foster and the latest in local news. This was just handed to us in the news desk. Approximately 7:04 last night, MACECOM received a call from a citizen stating that a female had overdosed and was possibly dead in an apartment in the 800 block of Coda Street in the city of Shelton. Within 3 minutes, police officers arrived at the apartment and located a 28-year-old female that was obviously deceased in her apartment. Within a short time, information was developed that an unknown male had run from the scene prior to the arrival of the police. With the help of witnesses, Shelton police officers located the male a short distance away from the apartment, and he was taken into custody for unrelated warrants. Detectives were called to the scene and are interviewing family members, friends, and possible witnesses. The cause of death is not known at this time, and the investigation is continuing. When we have more information about this, we will have it on our website at KMAS.com, and Nick Scott likely to have more information on this in the afternoon news. 8:29 right now. Marilyn Foster has the latest in local news currently. Focusing on Shelton shortly with Mark Ziegler from Parks and Rec. It's all right here on Daybreak on KMAS.
You're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
You're listening to KMAS News Radio. I'm Marilyn Foster. There's a new chairman for the Mason County Commissioners. During this week's commission meeting on Tuesday, Commissioner Randy Netherland turned over the gavel to new chairman Terry Jeffries. Netherland and Commissioner Tim Sheldon voted to give Jeffries the position for 2016. The city of Shelton is one step closer to becoming a Tree City USA, as the Shelton City Commissioners unanimously approved a tree preservation ordinance Monday night. The Arbor Day Foundation sponsors the Tree City USA program. They say the benefits to becoming a Tree City USA include reducing costs for energy, stormwater management, and erosion control, boosting property values across the community by 7 to 20%, and creating a framework for a healthy, sustainable urban forestry program in the city. Now that the ordinance is passed, there are a few more things the city must do. City Community and Economic Development Director Steve Goins says they need to establish a department or board with the responsibility of care to all trees on city property. Document that at least $2 per capita goes toward planting, care, and removal of city trees, and planning efforts to observe Arbor Day. Shelton applied to become a Tree City USA in late 2015. During Transit Talk on Daybreak this week, Mason Transit Director Brad Patterson talked about MTA being named the 2015 Rural Transportation System of the Year.
CTAA, Community Transportation Association of America, is all the rural and small agencies. They've got over 4,000 members around the country. And so, every year they select the best rural transit system in the country. And so for 2015, we were selected. Patterson shared the criteria used by CTAA to determine the recipient of the high honor. A combination of things. You got the cake and you got the topping on the cake, right? The topping on the cake was the Transit Community Center. It's first of its kind in the country.
Really nice.
Yeah. It's not been done anywhere. You see transit centers that have businesses in with them, retail businesses or whatever, that help pay the cost of the transit center. You don't see it with a community center. How many transit centers, tell me, raise your hands, how many transit centers have you seen around the country that have a gym?
Yeah.
Have a commercial kitchen and those kinds of things. The rest of it is the history of the agency and all the programs, the innovation that's been done, the level of service. Being fare free or prepaid, however you want to describe it, is certainly not very common at all. Good safety record, to be a countywide system, all the regional connections. So just a combination of all those things.
Learn more about the benefits of mass transit and how MTA serves the community weekly during Transit Talk on Daybreak. You can hear this week's full interview on the Daybreak page at KMAS.com. I'm Mary Lynn Foster, your local news at AM 1030 and FM 103.3, and always on KMAS.com.
Stop by Mason PUD 3's Shelton or Belfair offices this month and pick up your free 2016 PUD calendar. The calendar has important tips for energy efficiency, storm preparation, and contact information, so it's always close at hand. The calendar also has beautiful photos of Mason County scenery. Supplies are limited, so get your calendar before they're all gone. Mason PUD number 3, providing clean, renewable, and reliable energy every day.
Get ready. It's time to tee it up with Keith Jones.
Are you going to hit the shot that you need to hit? Or are you going to be trying something new just because it looks fancy? So one of, the basic truths, the self-evident truths that we have in the book is that you always choose functional over fancy.
Tee it up with Keith Jones.
Oh, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here at KMAS. Checking sports. Get the weather forecast here in a second. And Mark Ziegler's out in the lobby. He'll be in at 8:45 to focus on Shelton. Shelton High Climbers looking to snap a 2-game losing streak hosting North Thurston last night. All Shelton in the first half, given the Rams fits with their 2-3 zone defense. High Climbers took advantage on offense with some sharp shooting and taking a 9-point lead into the half. North Thurston picked up their defensive effort in the third quarter, cutting the High Climber lead to 6 heading into the fourth. The Rams took control in the final quarter behind Zach Sibley's aggressive attacking play. Sibley finished with a game-high 17 points. North Thurston knocked off Shelton 58-54. Sibley credits Rams head coach Tim Brown's halftime speech as motivation for that second half comeback.
I would say everything was our intensity. We just really stepped it up in the second half. First half we didn't play with any emotion, but I think coach, gave us a good halftime speech, got us motivated, and we came out and played hard.
Sean Wells will have the next video cast for you on KMAS.com this Friday night as the Lady High Climbers welcome the Lincoln Abes to town. Griffey Jr. was flying high above Seattle and all above his peers as he was voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame yesterday at nearly 100%. So good on him. Mike Piazza, the other guy that will get into the Hall this year. Hawks playing this weekend in the wild card. Coverage starts, though, on Saturday. Big weekend here on KMAS for NFL football. Saturday at 1, we get underway with a kickoff at 1:30. Kansas City at Houston, then Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Sunday, we've got the morning game. Hawks, like I mentioned, taking on Minnesota. In Minnesota, where it's likely to be below 0, like -2 at game time. The second game on Sunday is Green Bay at Washington. We've got them all for you here on KMAS. If you're wondering how the Seahawks will be, besides victorious, Marshawn Lynch is a full go, returning to practice. He's been away since late November. Pete Carroll says Lynch went through walkthroughs yesterday and expected to full participate in practices later yesterday night. Lynch has not practiced since week 9. In addition to Lynch, Cam Chancellor, J.R. Sweezy, Russell Okung, and Luke Wilson are all on track to play this week after missing last week's game with injuries. And it's amazing. Last week's game was a good one. I mean, the Seahawks did really well, and they had 5 of their big stars out of the game, and they still rocked it. I mean, it was, 30-6 before even halftime. So that was cool, and we are excited to have the Hawks on the radio for you Sunday. Old Town Artesians kick off the second half of the Western Indoor Soccer League season and wrap up their 3-game homestand when they play host to Bellingham United Saturday night. Game time in the first of 2 straight games against the United of Bellingham, scheduled for 6 o'clock at the Pavilion at Evergreen State College. Saturday night at the Pavilion, also youth soccer night. All youth soccer players in uniform will be admitted for free and will be invited to join the Artesians on the field during pregame player introductions. We did that last week with the U11 Pink Strikers, and it was a lot of fun to see the girls out there. You know, have you seen soccer, the beginning of soccer matches, when they bring in the players and then they bring in the kids?
What age are the kids that are coming out?
Well, they're under, I think under teen age.
Oh, under teens.
So
Okay,
they get out
fun,
there and they really enjoy it. And then at halftime, they run around and kick the ball and stuff. The doors open at 5 and the kick's scheduled for 6. Old Town FC is the website there. 8:38, time to check weather. Here's Carol.
Right now it's 36. There's some fog in places, and it's going to be cloudy the rest of the day with some sun. The high is 42. It's going to be partly cloudy, continuing in the night with a low of 32. And tomorrow through the weekend, it's going to continue with that partly cloudy days and nights. Daytime temps are going to be in about the low 40s. Overnight temps staying in the low to mid 30s. And there's no rain until early next week. Right now it's 36.
It's Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio. Join the guys as they talk with neighbors, newsmakers, and each other, getting your day off to the absolute best possible start in the history of mornings. Connect with Jeff and Dale through the KMAS listener line, by email or Facebook. Now, from the gateway to the Olympic Mountains, Daybreak with Jeff and Dale.
It's 8:39 here at KMAS. Getting ready to put the wraps on a great show here, Daybreak. We thank you so much for tuning in with us on AM 1030, FM 1033, or join us over the video cast right there on the front page of KMAS.com. Mark Ziegler coming in a couple minutes here to talk about the rotating art gallery, youth basketball, and the spring Parks and Rec schedule. You're not going to want to miss that conversation here in just a couple of moments. The Shelton High School sports schedule for the rest of the week, including today, sees the bowling team head to Narrows Plaza to take on Foss, and the North Thurston Rams boys swimming team will be coming to the high school pool. Wrestling, Foss comes to Shelton High School, and Sean Wells will be at the wrestling match tonight, so we'll get some good information on the wrestlers. Tomorrow, boys basketball, Lincoln at Lincoln High School, and then the girls will be on KMAS.com for another video cast live from the Mini Dome. There's a wrestling Highline tournament at Mount Rainier High School as well coming up on the 9th. That is this Saturday.
And Sean Wells is our new sports director. He's will be, you can't miss him. He's a great guy. So introduce yourself to him if you see a guy wearing the KMAS outfit,
the lanyards
filming
and
walking around asking questions.
Yeah. No, Sean's a great guy. Had a wonderful broadcast with him last night. We had a lot of fun at the Mini Dome. It's 8:41 here now at KMAS and KMAS.com.
And we're going to be talking about with Parks and Recreation from the city of Shelton. So we're just sort of, every year we get new guidelines coming out on your diet.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, it sort of is like the beginning of the year for your resolutions. But One of the new guidelines that are coming out this year, they say Americans may not have to cut back on eggs and salt as much once thought. And eating lean meat is still okay, but watch the salt and the sugars.
Interesting.
Yeah, 1 sugary drink per day is what's recommended. So are you going to be able to do that one?
No, not in the slightest.
Not in the slightest. Well, maybe that's something you can work into as it goes on.
Here's something weird about my soda drinking, which has been well documented.
Yes, it has.
Often, I can almost there are days when I can almost even get away with just going into the fridge, grabbing the can of Coke or whatever soda at the time. I am more of a fan of off-brand sodas than the main flavors and Cokes and Pepsis. Definitely Pepsi. Ugh. Coke, but then like Shasta is pretty good.
Okay.
And even the off brands are okay. But I can. There are days when I can just go into the fridge, grab the can, put it on the table, and then sit down. Don't open it, and then 4 or 5 hours later, it's still sitting there, and I haven't even touched it.
All right. Well, maybe it's just the idea that it's there.
Yeah.
It could happen.
That's weird.
It's hard to say.
So I can have some more eggs.
Some more eggs. You don't have to worry about your salt as much, but not too much salt. They really wanted them to go to like reducing red meat this time, but I don't think we're ready for that.
I don't think so either.
No.
Mark Ziegler's coming up next on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio.
Have you visited the Mason General Hospital and Family of Clinics website lately? Information about local medical services and providers is available online and can save you time finding what you're looking for. Browse Mason General's webpage to discover that excellent patient-centered hospital and clinic care is just minutes from where you live. World-class physicians, award-winning programs, and state-of-the-art technology are all right here, so you don't have to travel out of town for the best care available. Visit Mason General's website today at masongeneral.com.
Mason General Hospital and Family of Clinics. Equal opportunity provider. Translation services provided.
Mason General and Family of Clinics.
Take KMAS wherever you go with our new free KMAS mobile app. It's a free download from either your Apple or Android device. Check out the latest news and even listen wherever you have a signal. Search KMAS in your app store and download our free KMAS app today.
Habitat for Humanity of Mason County invites you to shop their local retail stores in Belfair and in Shelton. At Habitat for Humanity stores, you'll find amazing bargains on discounted home improvement supplies, gently used furniture, and so much more. And when you shop Habitat for Humanity, your dollars are put to work helping to improve, build, and maintain affordable housing right here in Mason County. Habitat for Humanity. Let's build a strong community together.
This is retired Air Force Colonel Sam Severe, and you're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio.
All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here. It's 8:45, and it's time for us to focus on Shelton. And from Parks and Rec, Mark Ziegler's in studio with us. Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Same to you guys.
Good morning. Excited to talk with you for the first big focus on Shelton of 2016, and the rotating art gallery will be rotating once again.
That's right. Yeah, it's that time again every 3 months.
So we've got some art in there now, and these are like mixed media pieces for the most part, right? People are all different styles.
Yeah, exactly. We can accept 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional, but primarily the majority of the space is the wall space downstairs between the court and the police department in the main room of the Civic Center. So that's the wall hanging pieces. Those are 2-dimensional pieces. So photography, paintings, watercolor, acrylics. We've got some pencil work up there, ink and pen, excuse me, not pencil, ink and pen, and then some photography up there now. That work comes down early February, beginning of February. And so we're calling for new artists now to apply to be installed starting in February and running for 3 months through the end of April.
It's a pretty big deal for people to be there, have their art shown. I mean, in a open, big government building. I mean, that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, it's neat. And the fun thing is we get people that have never displayed before in their lives. You know, they're a hobby artist or don't sell their work, and they produce things and they're sitting on their walls or stacking up in their extra space in their house, and they decide that they see this call for artists, and they decide they want to throw some work up there in the public, and it gets them excited about producing some more art. Sometimes they even sell a piece that they weren't anticipated selling, so they make a couple bucks to pay for their art supplies or justify the time they're spending on their art. And then we have professional artists that have been in there and are producing major pieces of art on a regular basis and selling them and display through galleries and commission pieces for individuals and other governmental entities and things like that too. So it runs the gamut.
So how do you decide who gets, so is like more than one people or person applies for it, and then you have to decide who gets to hang their art, or more than one person hangs their art at the time?
Well, both.
Okay.
So we're calling for artists now. So artists have until January 29th to submit up to 5 pieces of art. Those pieces are then juried by the Shelton Arts Commission, a volunteer committee of residents here in the community that jury that art based on merit, based on the experience or resume of the artist and how it fits in with kind of the local culture, and how the other art is the other art that's been submitted, how they might work together. So if we get say we get 5 artists and all 5 artists work in landscape, it works quite well. You can pick art from each artist if you want. If you've got 4 artists that work in landscape and one that's real abstract, it might not work real well as far as continuity in the gallery to throw that abstract artist in there. And so they might decide to go just with the landscape pieces at this time, and then have the abstract artist come back the next time and try to work them in later on. So the Arts Commission will jury that, make those decisions based on those merits, make a recommendation to the City Commission for final approval, and then the art is hung and in place for 3 months. So,
that's really cool.
Yeah, it is nice.
Do you get pictures of the art sent to the commission? That's how you guys judge those things?
They actually jury these specific pieces that will be placed in the gallery. So they need to see those. They're, being in a public place, we do have to have some regulations on what's going to be viewed. It's got to be appropriate for a government entity. So we need to view those pieces. Those specific pieces need to be approved by the City Commission, based on the recommendation from the Arts Commission.
It's 8:49. We're talking with Mark Ziegler from Shelton Parks and Rec. We have talked a lot about the different schedules and programs that the Parks and Rec puts on. We started doing our video casting of high climber basketball, and we've been able to show some of the performances that the kids had gotten working with the cheerleaders, and that was really fun to see. All the hard work that the kids did on the hardwood there. The spring Parks and Rec schedule is coming out. Also, you have some things on youth basketball you want to talk about.
We're starting our games this Saturday. So we've been meeting since mid-November. Teams have been practicing, working on their skills, and they start games this Saturday. We run in 3 gyms locally: the high school, middle school, and junior high. Start games at 9 a.m. We'll wrap up around 2 p.m. on Saturday. It runs for 5 weeks through February 6th. 2nd through 7th graders. And as you bring up the cheerleading program, we'll have some of those teams playing up at the high school games as well at halftime. So those kids get an opportunity to perform in front of on the big stage in high school and with those kids. And I like to integrate the youth programs into the high school programs as well. And it not only makes that connection with the coaches and the instructors that have those skills to teach younger kids the fundamentals of these sports, but also they bring their players to them. So the cheerleaders, the high school cheerleaders come and they help out and they help run the camps and run the programs. The high school basketball team, they run the program, they run the skills and fundamentals, and then they come and referee the games. So it really makes that connection between the younger kids and the older kids, and the younger kids can look up to them. The older kids learn some of those life skills that are really important. later on down the road, and they might not know it by reffing a basketball game, but they learn some of those life skills about, dealing with the public and teaching. They do some coaching and teaching and making decisions and working in front of a crowd. And, there might be a little pressure. There's not much when they stop and think about it after the fact, but there might be a little pressure on them. They have to make a decision when it's kind of split moment. So it's a good learning tool for them as well.
It's a great partnership that you have with the school district. My goodness.
Exactly right. Yeah. Our programs are, really all of the sports programs are based on the high school sports programs. We partner with the volleyball program, cheerleading, at times baseball program, football program, obviously the basketball programs, tennis. So it's really, and they really feed off each other and they help each other out because not only based on those relationships, but also financially. So the support that comes through to the registrations through the Parks Department, we reciprocate that the work that the high school coaches and the players are doing by paying them for their time. So the younger kids are paying to participate in a program, and then I pay the high school coaches and team to instruct in that program, and then that helps offset the costs that they have for summer tournaments or uniforms or balls and equipment and things like that. So it really is perpetual cycle because these kids are participating in, say, the tennis camp in the summer, and then that camp is helping pay for the high school tennis team's equipment, and then those kids come up and play high school tennis, and then the younger kids come back and backfill that and help pay for the equipment they're using because their budgets just don't cover that within the school district.
Do you see a lot of that, of the kids who then become the high school kids as the teachers? About how many you think are come back? I mean, you see it every year that there are kids that, I remember when I was doing this and now I'm playing for something. Just a lot.
Everybody. Yeah. I've been doing this for 20 some years, and there's kids that I remember in the programs that are now teachers, and coaches. And so even beyond being high school players and participants of that plane, they're now coaches and teachers within the school. Trevor Cahoon, I coached him in 7th grade football back in the day, and now he's a baseball coach and teacher here, in the school district. So it's I've been around long enough that I'm seeing these kids go all the way through high school and then college and then coming back and working here and working in the community. So
gotta be pretty rewarding.
It's great.
You made an impact.
It's fun to see. It's fun to see that growth, and you see kids when they might be a really good athlete at 10 years old. They're a great basketball player, a great baseball player, and it's really fun to see how that progresses because some kids go to another sport and concentrate on one, or they'll move away from town, or they just don't progress much anymore, or those kids that they came in and they might have been shy or undersized or whatever it might have been, and then 5 or 6 years later, maybe I haven't seen them. They've gone through middle school and junior high, and I haven't seen them. Then I see them at the high school, and all of a sudden they went from 4'8" to 6'5",
right?
And they're running up and down the floor or on the field. So that's fun.
Spring Parks and Rec schedule's coming out soon.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the printer Monday. Those will all be distributed within the next couple weeks. We've got some volleyball programs coming up, the traditional Tai Chi and yoga and things like that. A new program I'm partnering with the Olympia Mountaineers Club that will start. It's a one-day program that will partner with the National Park Service to give 4th graders in the community a free pass into one of the national parks. And so the Olympia Mountaineers will come and teach some skills, give out some maps, and tell kids and families where they might be able to go for a day in one of our national parks and experience some of those facilities they might not have experienced before. So that's a great partnership, a new partnership we're developing here to give folks the opportunities to go out and explore and learn about the outdoors a little more.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Shelton Parks and Rec, Mark Ziegler, thank you so much. Happy New Year for coming in.
Same to you.
We'll see you down the road.
I appreciate it. I'll be back at some point.
It's 8:56 here at KMAS. We'll step aside, hear from the Old Farmer's Almanac, and then we'll wrap things up here on a Thursday on Daybreak.
listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio.
The horns of the crescent moon will be pointing upward this week. We'll tell you what it means on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Thursday, January 7th, the 7th day of the year. Singer Kenny Loggins has a birthday, and one of Hollywood's most enduring marriages began on this day 90 years ago when Gracie Allen married George Burns. One of the most intriguing sights in the winter sky is the upturned horns of the crescent moon. Watch for it in the pre-dawn hours tomorrow before it disappears in the glare of the sun. The moon returns early next week, and its waxing crescent phase, best viewed in the early evening. It's sometimes called a wet moon because the bottom edge is illuminated. Old-time lore said it would fill up with rain like a bowl. As the year progresses, the crescent will tip on its edge, pouring water on the earth. That's the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Learn more about the moon phases online at almanac.com.
Well, it's 8:57 here at KMAS, getting ready to wrap things up on a Thursday morning here. Daybreak. Tomorrow, we got another great show with a lot of big guests, including our first time to talk with newly minted City Commissioner of Finance and Accounting, Kathy McDowell. That's going to be at 7:15. Our weekly conversations resume with Dr. Alex Apostle from the Shelton School District at 8:15. And 35th District Representative Drew McEwen stops by at 8:45 to give us a preview of this upcoming legislative session, which starts coming up on Monday. 8:58 here now at KMAS. We've got more high school basketball for you on KMAS.com. Tomorrow night, Sean Wells will be at the Mini Dome to broadcast to you the Lady High Climbers taking on the Lincoln Abes. Again, right around 7 o'clock. You can find the links on the front page of KMAS.com and over our Facebook.com/1030 KMAS page. 8:58 as well. We continue into the playoffs. Or start the playoffs, rather, with Wild Card Weekend on KMAS. That's going to be very exciting. Saturday at 1 is when our 4-game coverage begins over the rest of the weekend. Kansas City at Houston, then Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. The morning game Sunday, like we have been talking about, is the Seahawks. Pregame at 8 and the kickoff at 10, then Green Bay at Washington. We've got all the games coming up this weekend on KMAS. Check out KMAS.com for some tweaks to the draft rules for the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board. You'll see right on that front page a very familiar sticker, familiar to me, especially growing up. I could totally remember Mr. Yuck stickers.
Mr. Yuck stickers.
There was always under the kitchen sink, right, where the bleach and the Clorox is.
I guess maybe that was after my time.
And we had Mr. Yuck stickers on all that stuff, and even today, I know it's a day away. I've got that green sticker.
Possibility on your pot products in the future.
And likely to be seen on your pot products in the future. Have a good one, everybody. It's Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak with Jeff and Dale on KMAS News Radio.
CNBC Business Radio reports are on KMAS Shelton, Monday through Friday, 6:58, 1:33, and 4:33.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Daria Aldinger. Another rough start for Wall Street after China slammed the brakes on trading for the second time this week. ABC's Mark Remillard